Hello. Welcome to the Fanfic Majesty. If you want more content, you can follow me on Patreon. I will be uploading more content on there that will be exclusive. The link is in the description. Please support me. 1 Fu 001. The gold list appears, and the sea shakes. Next chapter. Advertisement. The evening sea is resplendent, mysterious, and beautiful. The setting sun reflected beautiful rays of light on the sea level, and the blue sea surface was coated with a dazzling golden light at this moment. The tumbling waves were like pieces of flames under the reflection of the rays of the sun. Boiling and burning. Perhaps this is the freedom that pirate world yearns for. Naval Headquarters, Marineford, Sengoku. Today's sunset is surprisingly beautiful. It makes the old man want to take a vacation. Garp looked at the sea and sighed with emotion. On vacation? What are you kidding? Ace's execution day is approaching. Do you still have the mind to take a vacation now? Sengoku, who reviewed the documents, looked angrily and said with a headache. Haha. I was just joking. Besides, with our Marine's current strength, whether I participate in the war or not will not have much impact on the battle situation. Garp shook his head, stating the facts. Marine's background is not an old whitebeard, who can compete. HMPH. You have to know that this battle plan is being carried out under the eyes of people all over the world. For the honor and prestige of our Marine, there is absolutely no room for carelessness. What's more, Ace is. Sengoku looked up at Garp, persuading him solemnly. However, at this moment, Sengoku, who hadn't finished speaking, abruptly stuck the rest of the words in his throat. Outside the window, the orange-red sunset glow in the sky began to change color at a speed visible to the naked eye. Just the blink of an eye. Golden light suddenly appeared. A dazzling golden light instantly enveloped the entire sky, under this strong light. Advertisement. Both Sengoku and Garp involuntarily closed their eyes. Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. Sengoku. Garp cried out in surprise, trying to open his eyes with difficulty, trying to understand what happened. But even if he is such a strong man, under this strange strong light, he can only close his eyes obediently. Enemy attack. What the hell is Whitebeard? Sengoku was startled, and made an instant judgment. Although his eyes were closed tightly, his body muscles were tense, and his knowledge were frantically scanning his surroundings. Jinbang Gaoshuan's surname is true, and it is clearly a branch of spring. Close black lens bracket. All those on the list will be engraved. Close black lens bracket. You must thank you for the gift. Close black lens bracket. I am a golden list, not a god, not a fairy. Close black lens bracket. All rankings in the world can be given justice. Close black lens bracket. Obviously there was no sound, but Garp and Sengoku instantly understood the meaning. Golden list, ranking all things in the world. As long as you are on the list, you can get the gift of the gold list. At this point Garp was finally able to open his eyes. But his mental state is still in a state of half dementia at the moment. It's just because he was shocked by this sudden event. Garp, don't be taken in. This may be a conspiracy against our Marine. Although Sengoku was equally astonished, but having been in a high position all the year round, he was a bit more rational than Garp at this moment. But only a tiny bit. His brain is almost in a state of shutdown. 1,000 punches break all the way, one force breaks 10,000 spells. Close black lens bracket. One Piece World, the power list will be announced soon. Close black lens bracket. At this time, 2 lines of large characters appeared in the sky again. Magnificent, surrounded by golden light. Flowing clouds and flowing water, writing like clouds and smoke. Advertisement. Although it is a Chinese character, it is strange that people in this world understand the meaning in seconds. Battle list. Sengoku narrowed his eyes, his brain racing. At this time, he finally reflected and began to analyze the pros and cons of it. The power of our Marine is not enough to counter all the pirates in the sea. But our strength is definitely higher than a single 4 emperors, or even the combination of 2 4 emperors. If there is a reward, it will definitely be beneficial to our Marine. Sengoku's eyes were burning, and he expressed his own analysis. Well, that's right. This is definitely not something that demon fruit power can do. It may actually be able to have the ability to bring us one step closer to Marine. Garp was also unusually serious at this moment, and echoed. But Sengoku, based on my analysis with you, this is definitely a great thing for our Marine. The corners of Garp's mouth twitched up, he smiled when he figured it out, and spoke again. Garp is not worried about Marine's current strength on paper. Marine and Admiral now have their own strength, comparable to that of an Emperor. There is also the Admiral alternate and the big Vice Admiral. Plus Sengoku, Suru Vice Admiral and himself. Such a force, if the list is announced. Then Marine must be able to reap the greatest benefits from it. This time is our Marine, a chance to rise. Sengoku also got up at this time, Wan Chong said with pride. The ranking list of combat power is officially announced. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket top 20. Commander-in-Chief of the Revolutionary Army, Monkey D. Dragon close black lens bracket. Because the purpose is to overthrow the world government and establish a harmonious, free, equal, and dream-filled new world, it is defined by the world government as the most vicious criminal in the world. Close black lens bracket. Comprehensive evaluation. A powerful thinker. Close black lens bracket. Reward for ranking 15 to 20. A random devil fruit. Close black lens bracket. Sengoku, who was still full of pride just now, suddenly turned dark. Garp. Look at the good son you have taught. Advertisement. As soon as the list was announced, Sengoku became restless and furious. Haha, that boy Long is actually on the list. It seems that his cultivation has not been wasted these years, but this reward is not very good. Garp, however, ignored Sengoku's anger and grinned while holding his nose. Seeing this, Sengoku also sighed helplessly, but the next moment his heart tightened up again. Garp, here's the dragon's full name. Sengoku was very solemn. After Sengoku's reminder, Dadiao's Garp finally reacted at this time. After reacting, he opened his mouth and fell silent. Seeing this, Sengoku knew that he was worried that he would have a negative impact on Marine. Walking up to his old comrade Garp, he patted him on the shoulder. Don't worry, although our Marine will be affected. But I will keep the impact to a minimum. It's just that your prestige in Marine may. When Sengoku said this, he paused and did not speak. At the same time, the people in the whole sea are boiling. The revolutionary dragon's full name is the same as the marine hero Garp. If you say that the dragon has nothing to do with Garp, no one will believe it. The forces of all parties speculated wildly. Only a corner of the gold list has been announced. Let them feel and understand the true face of the world they have been living in. However, these are the thoughts of ordinary people and small forces. The real strong think about the biggest threat in the eyes of the world government. It turns out, the strength is only ranked in the top 20. 002. Top 18 Garp, the beginning of a new era. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. It seems that the 5 old men from the world government are coming back to life more and more. Wanokuni Onijima Kaido put down the flagon and said disdainfully. It seems that the revolutionary army can't do it either, don't let me meet. Draw them into our beasts pirates when you meet them. It is their honor to play for Master Kaido. The 3 disasters under Kaido, Jack the Drow also put down the jug and shouted. Although he didn't understand what Kaido meant by the 5 old men of the world government. But the dragon whose strength is only rank 20, he doesn't pay attention to it at all. Even the other 4 emperors, except for Kaido, he would not pay attention to them all. This is him, Jack the Drow, who dares to rely on anyone's boat. Haha, is it the revolutionary dragon? He has the qualifications to play for me. The gold list reward is devil fruit. I like. Kaido seemed to enjoy this kind of flattery, so he picked up the huge flagon again and swallowed it violently. Almost at the same time as his voice fell, the words in the sky changed again. Open black lens bracket TOP 19. 0 Burial of Dawn, Uzumaki Nagato close black lens bracket. The leader of the Shao organization on the bright side, the ideal of the organization at the beginning of its establishment was to change the world and build a bridge of hope leading to world peace through communication between people. Close black lens bracket. However, after experiencing the death of his best friend, Nagato was completely blackened, hoping to use war and pain to let people understand the hard-won peace. Close black lens bracket. Let people feel pain and suppress it by force, so as to make the world peaceful, and even want to destroy the world. Close black lens bracket. Comprehensive evaluation. A powerful black revolutionist. Close black lens bracket. Reward for ranking top 15 to 20. A random devil fruit. Close black lens bracket. Making people feel pain. Ha ha ha. Interesting, so interesting. Don Quixote family. Brother Ming looked up at the list in the sky. The corners of his mouth curled up crazily. He has a feeling of encountering the same kind. The kind of purpose, unscrupulous means. Advertisement. That same cruelty. Virgo. I need information about Nagato, the Vortex, and the Akatsuki organization. The corners of Brother Ming's mouth curled up, and he gave instructions to the phone bug. After giving the order, he gave the same order to the intelligence organization of the Don Quixote family. Relying on the pawns he buried in Marine, he can easily obtain Marine's information. Plus the intelligence network of the Don Quixote family. He believes that soon, the hidden veil of the Shao organization will be unveiled by him. Naval Headquarters, Marineford. This Shao organization. Have you heard, Garp? Sengoku's brows were furrowed, his face heavy. No, the strength is even higher than the dragon, and his thoughts are dangerous. It's more dangerous than my stinky son Long. At this time, Garp stopped being a big deal, and began to analyze it seriously. There is information in the world that I have never had. It seems that this Akatsuki organization is very good at hiding. With such composure and such strong strength, the leader on the bright side can be ranked in the top 19. This is really an extremely dangerous organization. Sengoku nodded in agreement and said with emotion. Compared to the Revolutionary Army, this Akatsuki who hides in the dark and has never taken any action is the enemy of our marine. Garp, who is serious, is also very sharp. Instantly analyzed the key point, said solemnly. In the next second, Garp suddenly thought of something. Sengoku's lack of information does not mean that no one in this world knows about this organization. Advertisement. By the way, Sengoku, did you ask those old men? The information in their hands should be more than you know. Garp thought of this and asked aloud. Hearing this, Sengoku shook his head with a wry smile. He is the resourceful general of Marine, and he can think of what Garp can think of. Just when Garp saw the other party shaking his head, he thought that even the world government didn't understand. Sengoku spoke again. There is no need to ask, we have enough enemies to face now. Now ask the 5 elders, if you want to know the organization's intelligence, we Marine must allocate a part of our efforts to pay attention to this organization. If so, we might as well pretend not to know. Our focus must be on killing Ace. Garp shook his head and laughed. As expected of Sengoku, he always considers things so thoughtfully. Only Ace. Why? In the end, the thousands of thoughts in Garp's mind turned into a sigh. However, it didn't take long for him to be emotional. The change on the gold list made him almost pop his eyes out. Open black lens bracket top 18. Marine hero, Monkey D. Garp close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral and Recruit Coach. The legendary character in Marine, also known as Garp the Fist, by the world. Close black lens bracket. 38 years ago, he was known as the Marine Hero, because he alone blocked the attack of the Rocks pirate group that no one could stop in the Valley of the Gods, and joined forces with Roger to destroy the entire pirate group. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket Strong strength, dedicated to Marine. Close black lens bracket. Comprehensive evaluation. Marine is a living legend. Close black lens bracket. Reward for ranking top 15 to 20. A random devil fruit. Close black lens bracket. The list is out. The entire sea was in shock. Marine heroes only rank 18. It's too late for a hero. However, the system's evaluation is very pertinent. Vice Admiral Garp will always be our hero. For Marine, I will do my best. Marine is a living legend. Advertisement. Those who questioned Vice Admiral Garp just now, why didn't they come out and jump? Will you slap your face? The Whitebeard Pirates. Dad, Garp is only ranked 18th, and it seems that Garp is also old. Now, it's easier for us to rescue Ace. Marco stared at the gold list, in a good mood, and couldn't wait to report to Whitebeard. Garp, are you old? Whitebeard, who was sitting on the chair, narrowed his eyes slightly, with a bad premonition in his heart, a crazy warning. A long time. My son, Marco. The wave of the new era is coming. Whitebeard got up and drove the Naginata hard into the deck. The complexion is unprecedented solemnity. Marco on the side, when he saw his father's attitude, his mind was like a thunderbolt. This is the aura that Whitebeard will only have when the enemy is approaching. He was stunned in place, and forgot to think for a moment. He just stared blankly at Whitebeard, who was covered in tubes. It's not just Whitebeard feeling the pressure like never before. Red-haired Shanks who belong to 4 emperors, Big Mom Bigmom, Kaido of the beasts. It's time to let go of what you're doing. One by one, they looked up at the gold list in the sky. Long time silence. 003. Doubt. Jinwood expulsion is wrong. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Naval Headquarters, and most shocking of all, Garp himself. The old man is only ranked 18th. What do you mean? This gold list can't be fake, right? Garp stared in disbelief. He simply can't accept the current ranking. Is he ranked 18? Do 4 emperors, admiral still have a platoon? Sengoku also had a serious face at the moment, not knowing what to say. He is very clear about Garp's strength. There are only a handful of people in this world who can surpass Garp in strength. But the gold list has Garp at number 18, and there is. His strength, to put it bluntly, is even inferior to Garp. If Garp is ranked 18th today, he must be ranked below Garp. Neither the 19th nor the 20th is his case. His Sengoku strength. Weak enough to not even qualify for the list. How could this not make him, the resourceful general, feel confused? On the one hand, he didn't believe that the gold list with such miracles would rank randomly. On the other hand, he felt that this list was very unreasonable. Garp, do you think the ranking of the gold list may be wrong? Sengoku couldn't figure out why, Xinsheng questioned. Having such a miraculous gold list, can mistakes be made? Garp, who was very nervous, answered with doubts. I feel that there may be a big mistake. If there is someone stronger than you in this world, based on our Marine's intelligence, we must be able to know a thing or two. Even if there are a few people who are deeply hidden, such as Nagato, we don't know anything about it. Advertisement. But you are ranked 18th. In other words, our intelligence system has missed out 17 strong people. Do you think such a thing is realistic? Sengoku said with a determined face. Then what's the point of this ranking? Garp expressed his helplessness, apparently believed in Sengoku's judgment, and lost his temper all of a sudden. But the next moment, a golden light flickered in his hands. When he turned his head to look, a strangely shaped fruit with special lines landed on his hand. This is the meaning of the gold list. Sengoku's eyes lit up, full of emotion. What kind of power is this to be able to do this kind of thing? Garp, that one in your hand is a regular zone. It's a pity. Logia, the phantom beast, is not randomized. Sengoku recognized its essence at a glance, and said. Top 17. World government, 5 elders due to the closeness in strength, the 5 ranked 17th together, and the reward points are 5. The supreme leader of the world government, 5 elders are jointly in charge. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The pinnacle of power in the pirate world, with powerful marines, government agencies CPO-CP9, 7 warlords of the sea, scientific troops, deep sea prisons, Enies lobby, etc. Close black lens bracket. Words and deeds can determine the direction of the world, but they rarely give orders by their own will. Close black lens bracket. The pinnacle of power is also extremely powerful. Close black lens bracket. Comprehensive evaluation. One person is under 10,000 people. Close black lens bracket. Reward for ranking top 15 to 20. A random devil fruit. Close black lens bracket. Those 5 adults are only 17th in strength. It's really a bit ridiculous. Seeing this, Sengoku shook his head helplessly. This time, he became more firm in his previous judgment. 5 elders. Garp stared at the gold list and murmured. The heart is also extremely shocked. Advertisement. 5 elders are strong, he knows it. Unexpectedly, in the ranking of the gold list, all 5 of them were ranked above him. This is beyond his imagination. And the evaluation of 5 elders by Jinbang is that one person is under one person and above 10,000 people. That is to say, above the 5 elders, there is a more terrifying existence that can give orders to the 5 elders. This moment, even someone like Garp, who has seen big storms and waves, can't calm down at this moment. How much of the secrets of this world is unknown to me? Thinking of this, he looked up at the sky again, wanting to explore further. Open black lens bracket top 16. Akatsuki Sora-chen, Orochimaru close black lens bracket. Because he has witnessed the death of too many people and knows that life is fragile, he wants to gain the power of immortality and grasp the truth of the world. Close black lens bracket. Relying on the crazy pursuit of immortality, coupled with unparalleled talent and hard work, he finally embarked on the road to eternal life, and has extremely powerful strength and almost immortal recovery ability. Close black lens bracket. Having conducted a large number of human experiments, he has an extremely fanatical pursuit of scientific research, regards human life as nothing, and can do any crazy and brutal things for the sake of science. Close black lens bracket. Comprehensive evaluation. A powerful scientific lunatic. Close black lens bracket. Reward for ranking top 15 to 20. A random devil fruit. Close black lens bracket. Orochimaru. This Shao organization again. Garp, have you ever heard of a strong man named Orochimaru? Sengoku frowned, turned to Garp and asked. Garp shook his head, staring blankly at Jinbang's introduction to Orochimaru. Sengoku, are you saying immortality really exists? If our enemy is an immortal being, can we defeat each other? Sengoku caught his breath after hearing this. Even if Orochimaru on the gold list is not necessarily their enemy, and he doesn't know where he is yet. But just looking at Jinbang's introduction. As the supreme commander of Marine, he felt the oppressive feeling of this ranking and gold list introduction. Advertisement. Like an invisible dagger, it pierced his heart fiercely. Have you heard of the forbidden fruit? Sengoku's tone was deep, giving a guess. Op fruit. Garp narrowed his eyes slightly, and understood what Sengoku meant. Eternal life is achieved by op fruit, and the ability to be almost immortal should be Zone's devil fruit ability. It's most likely a phantom beast devil fruit, so that it can be worthy of the strong strength mentioned by the gold list. Sengoku stroked his chin and expressed his analysis. In addition to the previous Nagato, they were all organized by Akatsuki, and the Nagato gold list introduced the titular leader. Even if it's not as strong as Orochimaru, but it should be. It's not going anywhere. Immortality plus phantom beasts suspected to be developed to ultimate. What is the origin of this Akatsuki organization? The more Sengoku analyzed, the more fearful he became. Orochimaru. Phantom beasts should be related to snakes, right? Seeing Sengoku's analysis, Garp couldn't help but express his own analysis. But, this brain circuit, Sengoku was interrupted by this sudden Jiangji speech, and had no thoughts, so he had no choice but to stop analyzing. Sengoku stared at Garp and asked, Garp, can you fight such a monster? Sengoku, what do you mean? This old man is Garp the Fist who doesn't even care about rocks and Roger. Garp shook his head when he heard this, he couldn't deny it. What if the other party is an old monster who has lived for hundreds or thousands of years? Sengoku stared at Garp like a torch, and asked again. 004. Hold a plenary meeting, Marine Trends. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. This old man is Garp the Fist, so what if the other party lives long? How far have I cultivated my armed color? It's not like you don't know. Garp's face was heavy, but he still had confidence in his own strength. Then what if the opponent's phantom beast has developed to ultimate and has defense and physical strength comparable to Kaido? Sengoku asked again. This may be 50-50. Garp is uncomfortable being stared at by Sengoku, and his confidence is fading away. Garp, it's probably not the gold list that went wrong. Sengoku looked away from Garp, looked at the gold list above the sky, and said in a daze. Such a supernatural gold list should not make such a low-level mistake. There is a high probability that the previous rankings are all real. This world, maybe it's not as simple as it seems to us. The words fell. The golden text above the sky has changed again. Open black lens bracket top 15. Dawn of the Jade Girl, Uchiha Obito close black lens bracket. The leader behind the Shao organization, but not the real leader. Close black lens bracket. After witnessing the death of her beloved, she gave up her original dream and fell into darkness. Close black lens bracket. I want to map my abilities on the moon, let people all over the world fall into the illusion, so as to create a world with true love. Close black lens bracket. Comprehensive evaluation. Turning the world upside down, soldiers and horses are one person all their lives. Close black lens bracket. Reward for ranking top 15 to 20, a random devil fruit. Close black lens bracket. Today's list is updated, and 3 days later, the list of top 15 top 10 will be announced. Close black lens bracket. Hiss. So scary. Turning the world upside down, the soldiers and horses are one person for life. Garp, can you beat the guy on the gold list? Advertisement. Sengoku murmured, his eyes glazed over. Map the ability on the moon, and then let the whole world fall into illusion. Is this something devil fruit can do? Garp stared blankly and didn't answer. The concept that has been maintained for a long time, this moment. Complete collapse. It's no wonder it ranks above those 5 old guys. Sengoku's mouth was open now, too shocked to attach. At this moment, he has completely lost any thought of questioning Jinbang. I was in a daze for a long time. Sengoku just recovered from the shock, and as soon as he recovered, he hurried back to the desk in 1 step and 2 steps. Immediately afterwards, he grabbed the phone bug on the table. Notify Marine 3 Admiral, Crane Vice Admiral, Admiral Alternates rush to the conference room. Be sure to assemble within 10 minutes, this is an emergency. After resolutely giving orders, Sengoku directly pulled Garp, who was still in a daze, and walked out of the office. As the manager of the sea, the mobilization efficiency of the marine system is still very exaggerated. Sengoku stipulated 10 minutes, but less than 5 minutes. The tables in the conference room were filled with people one after another. Marine Marshal Sengoku, Vice Admiral Garp. Marine 3 Admiral, Sparkling Fruit Kizaru. Frozen Fruit Aokiji, Lava Fruit Akainu. Vice Admiral Crane, Momosugi, T. Dolphin. Ahem, you must have some guesses in your minds about the reason why I called you here. Sengoku cleared his throat, his face serious. After the words fell, all the marine cadres below had a flash of understanding in their eyes. Each has a different mind. Marshal Sengoku, you didn't call us here for the gold medal, did you? That thing is obviously not something we can compete with. We can just lie flat. Advertisement. The gold list didn't give us any danger signal. Lazy Kizaru said listlessly that he doesn't care about anything other than salary. HMPH, this gold list must be a sensational thing made by those pirates. Although I don't know their conspiracy, I advise them not to be caught by me. Otherwise, Akainu, who had a direct temper, spoke with a gloomy expression. It can be seen that he hates the pirates to the bone, and when something bad happens, all he thinks in his head is that the pirates did it. Akainu, this is clearly not the work of those pirates. If they really had the ability, then our marine would have been overthrown long ago. However, Aokiji on the side shook his head, not saving Akainu any face, and retorted. Aokiji, what do you mean? Akainu looked warm and angry, and was about to explode. Okay, stop arguing. Sengoku shook his head resignedly, and interrupted them. This Marine 3 Admiral is good for everything. Strength, character, and ability are all impeccable. The only downside is that whenever these three meet, there is always a dispute. This is also the reason why it is a bit far from the ideas of the three of them. A miracle like the Jinbang cannot be made by pirates. This must be a higher level existence, an existence we cannot provoke. As Kizaru said, the current gold list is a message of kindness to us. So we don't have to be overly nervous. Sengoku glared at Kizaru, who was slacking off, and spoke again. However, he didn't finish what he wanted to say. Just interrupted by the impatient Akainu. Marshal Sengoku, how can this gold list not be tricky? Our marine forces are all ranked outside the 15th place. It must have been created by the pirates, in order to weaken our marine's influence in the world. Currently none of the 4 emperors of the pirate camp is on the list. Advertisement. They will definitely be ranked high on the combat power list. If we marine just watch and don't take some action, our marine will definitely be at a disadvantage. Sengoku frowned slightly upon hearing this. Take action. What kind of action? Marine is working hard on these now. Currently our deployment of combat power is shrinking. For the next fight against the Whitebeard pirates, there is no extra combat power to investigate these. And according to my analysis, there is a high probability that this list is true. It's just, what I don't understand is that even Garp isn't even 15th. Who will be the people above 15 who will be announced 3 days later? There are really so many people in this world who can surpass the level of Garp and 5 elders. Sengoku sighed, expressing the confusion in his heart. This is also the purpose of his holding this meeting, which is to bring together the top executives of Marine. Brainstorm and see if he knows some strong people he has never known. Do you think Impel Down will be able to reach that level? Crane Vice Admiral, who hadn't spoken all the time, spoke at this time. You mean, Garp, who had been paddling and eating snacks, was not calm at this time, and asked. No way. He has been imprisoned on the 6th floor of the large submarine prison. Under that environment, is there still a possibility for him to improve? Sengoku shook his head, impossibly. The people off the court watched the older generation of Marine playing charades here, listening to each other in a cloud of fog. Impel Down still exists? Aokiji asked with blank eyes. Beloric Redfield. The Red Earl. Sengoku looked serious and said his name. 005. Akatsuki's sense of oppression. Contact Whitebeard. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Accompanied by the Red Earl, this strange name was spoken. The atmosphere in the entire meeting room stagnated and became quiet. All eyes locked on Sengoku, wanting to wait for him to clarify. Beloric Redfield, it's understandable that you don't know each other. He was active in the era of Roger, before the era of the Great Pirate. It was called the Lonely Red and Red Earl by the people of that era. His strength was extremely powerful, and he was on par with Roger and Whitebeard alone. The weight of this can be imagined. One person can be as famous as Roger and Bybird at that time. However, after so many years, his strength should have regressed a lot. Sengoku shook his head when he said this, expressing some incomprehension. The Red Earl's strength has been exaggerated, and his strength must be inferior to mine. Garp also shook his head at this time, expressing that it was impossible. To make sure nothing happens, it's better to inform Magellan. Crane Vice Admiral expresses the worry in his heart. In such a tense moment, he is not afraid of 10,000 but just in case. Sengoku nodded, following his old companion's advice. In addition to the Whitebeard pirates, we also need to pay attention to the existence named Akatsuki recently. He's likely to be a wild card when we play Whitebeard next. Crane Vice Admiral, after thinking about it, he suggested that it is always good to prepare for the worst. Although her combat power is not very high, her status in Marine is extremely high. Just because of her transcendental wisdom. Dawn. Crane Vice Admiral's voice fell. The entire conference room fell into silence again. Where did this Shao come from? These people's thoughts are very dangerous. Uzumaki Nagato, who wants to make the world feel the pain. Orochimaru, the madman conducting human experiments. Uchiha Obito, who wants to make the world enter the illusion. Hearing this, Aokiji said with a solemn expression. He, who advocates the concept of peace, also felt a huge threat. Advertisement. HMPH. This, Akatsuki, is just a pirate with a different skin. First think we Marine should put a bounty on them as the biggest threat. Rarely, Akainu echoed Aokiji's point of view. Forgive me, I can't handle the 4 emperors and the latest supernova. Now you want to attack Akatsuki. Kizaru's face was full of bitterness, he was not interested at all in such a thankless task. I know what you think. However, it is impossible for us to deal with the Akatsuki organization. Our first priority right now is to step up and shrink our combat power to ensure that we win the war with Whitebeard. Just look at the current situation. If we want to take down the Akatsuki organization, our Marine must at least deploy all of our combat power. Even need the help of CP0 CP9. The Akatsuki organization will be decided by the world government. And the most important point is, we Marine don't have any information about this named Akatsuki. The purpose of these dangerous-minded guys getting together. The true purpose of Shao. Where is Akatsuki's base? How powerful is Akatsuki? And how many members does Akatsuki have? Wait, we don't know anything about this, and we have no way to start. Sengoku shook his head helplessly when he said this, expressing that there was nothing he could do. Yes, now is not the time to provoke the Shao organization. Crane Vice Admiral also nodded, agreeing with Sengoku's point of view. It's just that Rao was extremely confused by her wisdom. Where did this Shao come from? What is the purpose of hiding so deeply? Even the Revolutionary Army's hiding, their Marines have more or less information. If it wasn't for the fact that Long was so flexible, the Revolutionary Army would have ceased to exist. This Shao, they don't have any information at all. It's enough to show their caution. The more Crane Vice Admiral said, the more he felt palpitations, and the other Marine cadres also felt palpitations. A cautious, powerful force. Advertisement. But never acted. Garp also looked solemn, feeling the pressure. Okay, now that everyone has clarified the primary goal for now. This meeting is over here. Seeing that there was no useful information to share, Sengoku ended the meeting with a wave of his hand. At the same time that Marine was secretly talking. New World. The entire crew of the Moby Dick. They all looked solemn, as if they were facing an enemy, looking in the direction of Whitebeard. Or looking at the monster that emerged from the deck in front of Whitebeard. Marco. That guy actually avoided my sense of knowledge. Jaws's complexion was extremely heavy. It should be a teleportation fruit ability user. Marco speaks surprisingly and conjectures. Teleportation fruit ability. This ability is too heaven-defying. If used properly, it can even be compared to Logia. After hearing the words of the two captains, the members of the White Group were also shocked and talked a lot. Ha ha ha. Weird laughter resounded throughout the ship. As expected of the strongest man in the world, Whitebeard. The way I played, you are not surprised at all. A body is pale and distorted. The monster without any clothes grinned loudly. Haha, not many things can surprise me. Whitebeard did not leave his seat from the beginning to the end, and at this time he also smiled heroically. Just saying that, he was taken aback for a moment, his eyes shifted from the monster, and he looked behind him. Then he shook his head and laughed. Behind the monster, a bird song suddenly sounded. Advertisement. Marco, who was covered in blue flames, had already knocked the monster to the ground with one kick. No way. This is dead. However, Marco succeeded in his move, but he didn't show the slightest joy. Instead, he looked in disbelief at the deformed monster kicked by him on the ground. Father, shouldn't I be so excited? I just want to test this foreign guy. I didn't expect him to be so careless. Marco looked helpless, spread his hands, and complained. Haha, it doesn't matter. Sending such a weak person to bring me a message, what words are no longer important? No one is qualified to discuss matters with me, Whitebeard. Whitebeard shook his head, indicating that the other party should not take it too seriously. I also felt a little curious in my heart, staring at the pile of kicked and twisted corpses on the ground. The degree of distortion just unfolds its interior. The structure of this monster corpse. There are no internal organs, or any human organs. Even he, Whitebeard, couldn't fathom the origin of this monster. Hehe, is this your Baituan's attitude towards Shao? Just when Marco regretted and Whitebeard was wondering. The familiar voice came again in the air. Talk off. A white monster emerged from the deck next to the corpse again. How is this possible? Who are you? Marco took a step back in an instant, his whole body tensed up, and he screamed in disbelief. Dawn of Xuanwu, absolutely. 006. Like-minded, we are friends. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Xuanwu. Absolutely. Whitebeard's breath catches, his eyes serious. Yu Shao organization finally can't hold back, is it about to be born? White Zetsu grinned and nodded. Originally we planned to continue to hide. But, that thing in the sky has exposed us, and we have no other choice. White Zetsu said with a look of regret. I remember that our Baituan and your Shao organization don't have any intersections. You came here suddenly, what is your purpose? Whitebeard looked serious, and he didn't dare to ask carelessly. Not him. Whitebeard is naturally cautious. It's because, in this special period, Ace is still waiting for his rescue. What's more, even he, who is known as the world's strongest man, dare not underestimate the combat power of the Shao organization. Purpose. I did come with a purpose. But your crew seems to be very disobedient, although personally, I think this is a very interesting thing. But, if my superiors know how I've been treated in the Baituan, the consequences may be unimaginable. My soldiers will be very annoyed if we pawns are treated like this. The corners of his lips curled up, his tone was gloomy, and he looked at the dead body White Zetsu. Although only one of the thousands of white Zetsu died, the majesty of the Akatsuki organization cannot be violated. The majesty of that adult is inviolable. Marco. Sorry. Whitebeard looked cold, without any hesitation. Immediately opened his mouth and scolded Marco. Marco, who had put away his fruit ability at the moment, was taken aback by the sudden scolding, and looked at his father with some doubts. You must know that he has never seen such a serious father, and he is considered to be the longest crew member with his father. Father has always treated them like his own sons, no matter right or wrong, father always favors them and will not let them suffer. Advertisement. Now, Dad actually let himself admit his mistake to an outsider. Surprised, Marco did not disobey Papa Whitebeard's wishes. He knew that Papa must have his own concerns. My lord, I offended you before. Please don't take it to heart, my original intention was not to challenge Akatsuki's majesty. Marco bowed his head and apologized solemnly. Ah, I was joking. I didn't expect you to really apologize. Don't take the previous things to heart. My head is not so small. Seeing that the other party was so sensible, White Zetsu waved his hand to let the other party not pay too much attention. But the smile he showed, coupled with that weird and ugly face, this smile is not funny at all. Seeing the easing of the atmosphere, Whitebeard was also slightly relieved. But he didn't believe the other party's nonsense. Kidding. If he didn't express his attitude just now, Akatsuki organization will definitely pull their pirate group into the opposition list. The majesty of the strong cannot be violated, let alone such an extremely terrifying force as Akatsuki. Marco, go to the cabin and get some wine. Our Baituan must treat this person well. Seeing Marco standing here, Whitebeard seemed a little embarrassed, so he had to find an excuse to push him away. This is also to prevent Marco from continuing to be embarrassed. Dad, your body can't drink. Marco glanced at the tubes strewn all over Whitebeard's body, wanting to be reminded. But, meet Whitebeard's unquestionable eyes. He sighed in his heart, shook his head, and walked away from the spot. This is a bit different from the Whitebeard in my intelligence. White Zetsu grinned and said nothing. Big difference. Haha. Intelligence is dead, and people are alive. Of course, it is impossible to completely match. Whitebeard was taken aback for a moment, although he didn't understand why, he still agreed. I always feel that you don't have that courageous courage today. Advertisement. White Zetsu shook his head and began to mutter in confusion. Whitebeard listened, black lines all over his head. Brave. Although the old man is brave, he is not stupid. Even if I can die, nothing can happen to my sons. Haha, that's all the outside world's evaluation of me. It's not worth mentioning. I'm still very easygoing with my friends. Whitebeard's curved crescent twitched with a laugh. Your beard is really interesting, why is it so neat and curved like a moon? You must cherish your beard very much. White Zetsu said something stupid again. It left Whitebeard stunned, a little overwhelmed. You let him single out Roger, Garp, and even the entire marine, he is not afraid. It's not his forte to have him host weird members like Akatsuki White Zetsu. It's hard for him too. White Zetsu's temperament is notoriously nonsensical. There are endless thoughts, and the thinking is still very out of the way. Oh, by the way, I almost forgot, I came today with a mission. Fortunately, at this time White Zetsu finally remembered that it was time to get down to business, and finally put away his playful thoughts, and spoke solemnly. Whitebeard was also relieved to see that the other party was finally serious. But then he wondered again. What is Xiao's organization looking for him for? Conversation about what? Whitebeard asked. A plan. Plan. That's right. A plan to destroy Marine. White Zetsu spoke amazingly. What? Advertisement. Destroy Marine. How is this possible? Whitebeard finally couldn't hold back at this moment, and stood up abruptly. This news is so exciting. This is too much information. You heard me right, our Akatsuki organization wants to destroy Marine. Why? Whitebeard expressed his confusion in a daze. Why? I don't know either, I'm just a pawn. Maybe it's out of interest. Maybe it was a whim. Maybe it's been planned for a long time. Maybe it's because you don't like Marine's name. My lord's meaning is not something that pawns like me can guess. White Zetsu shook his head, thinking about it. Why did you tell me the information about the destruction of Marine? Although Whitebeard was shocked by the arrogance of White Zetsu's words, he still had reason. Because we're grasshoppers in the same boat, aren't we? If you want to save Ace, you will definitely conflict with Marine. The enemy of an enemy is a friend, isn't it? Hearing this, Whitebeard thought it made sense and nodded. What do you want me to do? With your strength, it is impossible to save Ace from Marine. According to our information, Ace is the blood of One Piece, and Marine will definitely be executed under the eyes of people all over the world. But as long as you join us in our plan to destroy Marine, we will definitely help you save the Ace. As for how to do it, it's very simple. We are comrades in arms, aren't we? You won't leave the battlefield until Marine is destroyed, right? With cruelty on the corner of White Zetsu's mouth, he said such horrible words lightly. Percent. 007. Knights of the Round Table, where did this come from? Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. You guys know the odds against Marine. Whitebeard narrowed his eyes and didn't agree directly, but was thinking about the pros and cons. Akatsuki is strong, but is Marine weak? Odds. I never thought about it. In other words, we never thought about the possibility of losing. White Zetsu was stunned by the sudden question. You must know that the combat power of the Akatsuki organization is all at the pervert level. Any one that is screwed out is devastating. Against Marine at their level, do they still need to consider the odds of winning? Whitebeard caught his breath, and he felt that the other party was definitely not being arrogant. Rather, it is stating a fact. Moreover, the other party's intelligence, even Ace's identity, can be investigated, and the intelligence will never make too many mistakes. Under such circumstances, it is still possible to underestimate Marine so much. The terror of Akatsuki's organization constantly refreshes Whitebeard's view of Akatsuki. One more question, can you disclose the name of your leader conveniently? A true leader. Whitebeard thought about it and still asked, the curiosity buried deep in his heart. The name of the leader. Although the king never cared about these things. But, that's not what mortals like you can call directly. Call our king. God. Enough. After White Zetsu finished speaking, he got into the deck with a weird smile on his face. Disappeared on the Moby Dick. As if it had never appeared before. This is the absolute ability. The sea, the soil, the trees, even any natural environment can travel freely. Advertisement. He is a high-quality scout and intelligence officer. God. Kulala lala, you're really arrogant. Whitebeard stood there in a daze, unable to recover for a long time. Because of Akatsuki's intervention, the thought of losing his life for Ace no longer exists in his heart at this moment. With such a strong player intervening, the Marine side will be at a disadvantage now. Father, what about it? Marco, who walked out of the cabin and moved the wine barrel, looked around, but couldn't help but feel puzzled when he didn't find White Zetsu. He's gone. Marco, bring the wine back. Whitebeard explained calmly. But, what he said shocked Marco's jaw. The pirates in the entire white group shook again. They were even more shocked than White Zetsu's secret method. That, alcoholic Whitebeard quit drinking. Marco handed the wine to the front. How could the old man resist drinking? What? Marco was taken aback for a moment, but then reacted. This is a good thing. As a ship doctor, he knows his father's physical condition best. Alcoholism not only affects the treatment cycle, but also makes symptoms worse. Father, that's what you said. Marco smiled and ran, not wanting to give Whitebeard any chance to repent. Seeing this, Whitebeard shook his head with a wry smile. Although there were thousands of ants crawling in his heart, he still held back. Just because. Akatsuki brought him too much pressure. He couldn't even imagine how his sons could survive in the coming new era if he died. All he could think about at the moment was that if he lived longer, he could protect his sons more. Seeking skins from tigers, I don't know if it's right for me to do so. Whitebeard looked out to sea, eyes deep. Advertisement. However, in order to save Ace, risk losing more sons, you have to save it. Although Marco is very strong, he is qualified to be my successor. But, Ace, with Roger's blood in his veins, has something in him that Marco doesn't. I can't die yet, I must wait for Ace to fully grow up. Whitebeard's mind was full of thoughts. 3 days passed in a flash. The atmosphere on the sea became more tense. Anyone with a discerning eye can see that a big war is about to break out. But, this tense atmosphere is mixed with a little expectation. What they are looking forward to together is the announcement of the Heavenly Gold List. Who will win the top 15, top 10? Is it the forces of the 4 emperors galloping across the ocean? Are Marines freshman 3 admiral? Under the eyes of the people of Pirate World. The gold list finally changed again, and lines of golden text were combined. Top 14. Knights of the Round Table, Rebel Knight Mordred. Open black lens bracket job introduction. Saber close black lens bracket. Noble Phantasm. The brilliant and radiant King Sword Clarent. Betrayal to my magnificent father, Clarent Blood Arthur. King Arthur's legitimate son, an artificial human made by King Arthur's sister Witch Morgan, in order to crusade against Arthur and become the king beyond Arthur, Mordred was born. Close black lens bracket. Although he is a swordsman, his fighting style is more like a berserker. He has abandoned all etiquette and chivalry, and only exists sword skills for survival and killing. Close black lens bracket. Because of the immortality of the heroic spirit, the overall combat power is very strong. Close black lens bracket. Comprehensive evaluation. A rebellious knight longing for fatherly love. Close black lens bracket. Reward for ranking TOP 10 TOP 15, Conqueror's Hockey Qualification. Close black lens bracket. The list is finally announced. The people of the entire pirate world all put down their work in unison, staring blankly at the introduction of Jinbang. Knights of the Round Table. What kind of force is this? It's actually ranked above Akatsuki. Have you heard of this force? Advertisement. What about me? I feel that I'm not as strong as Xiao below. For a time, the whole sea was full of discussions. Doubts are louder than one. Just because each of the top 15 top 20 is pervert, the gold list has a subtle introduction ability. And this rebellious knight introduces saber, treasures, these things they don't understand. The characteristic of immortality. Isn't this another old monster that can't die? At this time, someone discovered the clue and was surprised. And it's an artificial human. Androids are even ranked higher than humans. Could it be the work of the scientific army? The world's most cutting-edge technology should be in their hands. Only they can create such a monster. Have you noticed? A terrible message is revealed on it. The original intention of this artificial man was to fight against King Arthur. That is to say, the combat power of this King Arthur is likely to be higher than it. King Arthur. Have you heard? No, I've only heard of One Piece Roger. I don't know what kind of king this King Arthur is. Compared with Roger, he is stronger or weaker. That must be Arthur Wong Chang. Even the immortal Orochimaru is under him. And rebellious knights with undead characteristics are likely to be ranked below him. Of course, more support for Roger. After all, they listen to Roger's stories every day, and the more they spread, the more outrageous they become. By their generation, it already has some mythical meaning. 008. Traitor. Marine's uninvited guest. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Marine, who has been paying attention to the gold list, is also embarrassed at the moment. To know that the appearance of Akatsuki has already escaped their control. Now it seems that a new force has been exposed. How can this make them feel at ease? Inside the marshal's office, Crane Vice Admiral, Garp, Sengoku gathered, constantly discussing countermeasures. However, just as their discussions were in full swing, an unexpected guest is brought up by Aokiji. All of a sudden, the entire conference room fell into silence. Garp was very curious. Crane Vice Admiral frowned, unable to figure out why the other party came. You are. Sengoku stood up abruptly, staring at the other party with a look of disbelief. Marshal Sengoku, you are safe. The corner of the visitor's mouth was grinning. Even if the people standing here were all legends, he was not afraid at all. Great Eddie Spider, Skiyad. What are you doing in our marine? Sengoku asked with a serious face. The person who came was a member of the Whitebeard Pirates, a pirate. And a pirate from the Whitebeard Pirates, dare to go to naval headquarters alone. How is this different from dying? It's hard to see you, Sengoku. A squad with a spider pattern on his forehead, bearing his fangs. Of course, don't get me wrong, I'm not stupid, I'm not here to die. I'm here to give you information. I believe that the following information will definitely be needed by you Marines. Skuyat habitually sticks out his tongue, with a gloomy expression on his face. Traitor. After thinking about it for a while, Garp guessed the reason of the matter, and then he couldn't help showing disgust. Advertisement. Why did you give us the information, Marine? Our Marine is now in an opposing relationship with your pirates. Sengoku shook his head, not in a hurry to ask for information. Reason told him that this might be a conspiracy by the White Group. Why? Skiyard heard Sengoku's questioning. His face suddenly became ferocious and crazy, and then twisted again. That guy Whitebeard is a hypocrite. He wants to put us outsiders to death. It was he who was unrighteous to me first, so don't blame me for being unkind. Sengoku looked at Skuyad, who was out of control, and frowned. This attitude of hatred to the bone doesn't seem like acting. Yes, Whitebeard is indeed a hypocrite. Although Sengoku didn't know why, he agreed. He had a hunch that what the other party said next would definitely benefit Marine. It may even be possible for Marine to take the lead in the next battle against Whitebeard. Ace is the blood of Roger, the One Piece. It's not Daddy's son at all. He could have given up aces that didn't matter, but he wanted to drag us to our deaths. Originally he wanted to hide the fact of this matter. Fortunately, a guy named Ju exposed Ace's background that day. The more Skuyard said, the more emotional he became. Sengoku on the side heard this, and his brain was also running fast. He also recalled Skuyard's identity. Once had grievances with Roger, the Pirate King, and was annihilated by Roger's pirate group. Then he was recruited by Whitebeard and joined Whitebeard's command. At this moment, he still maintains an independent pirate group. Is it because of hatred for Roger? Sengoku guessed in his heart, but who is this definitely? How do you know such secrets? Indeed, Ace died when he died. There is no need to tie the life and death of all the white groups for one Ace. It's so selfish. Sengoku opened his mouth and continued to comfort, but his heart was like a mirror. Advertisement. Okay, probably that's the case, and there are some other reasons. I won't go into details. Seeing that Sengoku understood him so well, Skuyad was overjoyed. It even gave birth to a feeling of finding a confidant. If it weren't for the other party's status being higher than him, he couldn't help but want to pull the other party to go to the tavern to drink together. I want to rebel and make Whitebeard pay. Originally, I thought about plotting against you when the Whitebeard pirates were at war with you. Give Whitebeard a fatal blow. It's just that I didn't expect that Akatsuki negotiated with Whitebeard and reached an agreement. When Skiyard said this, he paused slightly. Xiao's mysterious method still shocked him when he thought about it now. What did you say? The Xiao organization showed up. Garp, who was eating snacks and watching the show, finally couldn't help but bounced off the sofa at this moment. The domineering momentum swept directly towards Skuyad. Okay. Skuyad was about to say something, but was shocked by the sudden momentum. Cold sweat dripped from his forehead unconsciously. In my heart, I was extremely jealous, this momentum. Even Whitebeard might. Okay. Garp, this is my office. Can you hold back a little? Sengoku said with a headache when he saw Garp overpowering others. Sorry. Just had a nightmare. Shocked. Seeing that he lost his composure, Garp quickly snapped a haha. Trying to fool around. But, that excuse is a bit clumsy and crude. Advertisement. Skiyad, you said that the Xiao organization showed up, is it true or not? You must know that the other party has never appeared in this sea before. This huge force must have developed silently for many years. Sengoku stared brightly and asked. It's true, I have no possibility of joking about this kind of thing. And Ace is the blood of One Piece, and it was exposed by that self-proclaimed Schwangu of Akatsuki. At that time, their conversation was not deliberately taboo. That's why I can get this information. Seeing that the other party didn't trust him, Skiyard hurriedly explained. Sengoku nodded. Seeing this, Skuyad continued to speak. The person from the Akatsuki organization is mysterious and speculative, saying that he wants to join forces with Whitebeard. The plan is to wipe out Marine. When Skuyad said this, he didn't dare to let out a breath, and looked at Sengoku nervously. Destroy Marine. Sengoku was finally not calm at this time. What an arrogant statement. But it was Akatsuki who spoke, and while he felt arrogant, I also felt the oppression brought by the other party. Although I haven't even seen the other person's face. But just the word, Akatsuki. It made him feel like a sharp knife was inserted in his heart. HMPH, extremely arrogant. The background of our Marine cannot be challenged by these guys who hide their heads and show their feet. Crane, who had been silent all this time, couldn't help but speak. This is the information I want to tell you. Akatsuki and Whitebeard joined forces. I hope you Marines can take it seriously. Be fully prepared. Must make Whitebeard pay for his stupidity. Pay the price. Skiyard had a gloomy face and spoke crazy words. 009. The dark tide is surging, and the forces of all parties are moving. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Soon, the conversation between the two sides reached an agreement. Sengoku let Skiyad go. This can be regarded as a dark chess piece he buried in the Whitebeard pirates. In case for need. This is definitely a fatal weakness for someone with Whitebeard's personality. It was absolutely impossible for him to guess that his son would want to rebel. Sengoku, almost all of our forces are now shrunk to Marineford. But we still need to be more cautious about the unknown Akatsuki. Crane Vice Admiral said with a solemn expression. That's right, I'd like to ask those from the world government for instructions on this matter. I feel that there is a high probability that this information is true. It's better to believe what you have than to believe what you don't have. Sengoku's complexion was also solemn, expressing the worry in his heart. There is also the matter of the Knights of the Round Table. Also ask, we need to find out their details. In this way we Marine can make a correct judgment of the situation. Crane Vice Admiral stared at the list in the sky and offered his opinion again. Name with a group. This is definitely another force. Just don't know. Are their thoughts righteous or evil? It's an eventful autumn. Garp was also full of emotion at this moment, with a complicated expression on his face. That's it, I'm going to the Holy Land Mariajoy now. When I come back, we are discussing. With that said, Sengoku stepped forward. Soon it disappeared in place. Advertisement. At the same time, the list on the gold list also changed again. Open black lens bracket top 13. Knights of the Round Table, Sun Knight Gao Wen close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket class. Saber close black lens bracket. Noble Phantasm. Rotating Sword of Victory Excalibur Galatine. One of the earliest knights following King Arthur, an absolutely loyal knight. Possesses the Holy Sword of the Sun. According to legend, this holy sword is as powerful as the holy sword in King Arthur's hand. Close black lens bracket. Because of the blessing of the saint, he is known as an invincible knight during the day. Close black lens bracket. It also has the characteristic of immortality, and its comprehensive combat power is strong. Close black lens bracket. Comprehensive evaluation. Knightless Gao Wen is the god of noon. Close black lens bracket. Reward for ranking TOP 15 TOP 10. Conquerors Hockey Qualification. Close black lens bracket. Wow. The list is down. The entire sea once again fell into an unprecedented shock. Only because of the comprehensive evaluation and rewards of the gold list. God. What kind of exaggerated power is this? And the gold list rewards are too exaggerated. Free Conquerors Hockey. God. Is there really a God in this world? New world. The red-haired Shanks looked at the list with a serious face, and murmured in disbelief. As a crew member on Roger's ship, his understanding of the world can be said to be full of confidence. But, as the list continued to follow up, he became confused. He even doubted whether Roger's surrender is still meaningful now. God of No Night Gao Wen at noon. This is the highest evaluation given by the current gold list. However, his weakness is also obvious. Without the sun, his combat power should be greatly weakened. But even so, the gold list ranked him 13th. It seems that at noon, his strength is absolutely incomparable, making the gold list an exception. Ben Beckman's cigar had dropped to the ground at this time, and he didn't even realize it. Just keep murmuring inconceivably. Redhead, do you think Luffy can really fulfill your expectations? Such an era deviates too much from what you expected, right? Advertisement. Back to his senses, Beckman looked at the redhead worriedly. Haha, trust Kid Luffy. He's my red-haired favorite. Seeing the worry in his friend's expression, the redhead shook his head and laughed. To know the temperament of Luffy. And Rubber Fruit picked him too. All this is by no means a coincidence, so simple. Captain, are you sure you can defeat him? Beckman thought for a moment, then asked curiously. Although the redhead lost an arm at the moment. But even at his level, who can be regarded as faintly at the Emperor level, he can't see through the strength of red hair. It is enough to see the strength of the opponent. Beckman, you're overthinking. The redhead shook his head, helplessly. Don't say it's him. Even the top 20 dragon on the list, I might be embarrassed. After hearing this, Beckman stared fiercely. The eyeballs are almost protruding. What do you mean? Your strength may not even qualify for the list. You must know that you are the 4 emperors. And it's the deepest hidden. The 4 emperors. Beckman shook his head in disbelief. His captain has always been secretive and confusing. Of course, what the redhead said just now did not rule out the possibility of teasing him. I'm also curious, the dragon of the Revolutionary Army is hiding too deeply. They're all behind the scenes, one can hide better than the other. I'm still too young. Seeing that her friend didn't believe her, the red hair wanted to cry even more. It's really hard to say. However, the next moment, he had a whim. Advertisement. Beckman, how about I negotiate with the Knights of the Round Table? Look what they're up to. Now that the gold list has exposed them, they probably won't be able to hide for long. The words fell. Beckman was stupid again. It's really their captain's style, they want to negotiate with everyone they see. It should be difficult to negotiate with the thoughts of the Akatsuki organization. It's not impossible for this Knight of the Round Table. Currently, according to the news from the Jinbang, there is a high probability that this force is not an evil force like Akatsuki. Beckman thought about it for a while, and felt that this matter was feasible. However, Captain, the feeling that the storm is coming recently makes me feel very bad. The arrival of the gold medal has made the original battle between Whitebeard and Marine more complicated and confusing. We don't just need to consider Kaido and Big Mom's movements. Now we'd better take the Akatsuki organization into consideration. Beckman lit a cigar again and analyzed. As the red-hair pirates with the highest IQ and clear thinking, he felt something strange. Originally their plan was to stop Kaido and Big Mom from playing Whitebeard and Marine. But right now, they have no countermeasures against the new forces that have been exposed. Dawn. They've been hiding it for so many years. There's no need to go out now, right? The red-haired man looked serious, not daring to think about the worst consequences. I feel like we still have to prepare for the worst. Otherwise, there won't be much time left for Kid Luffy. Beckman said, looking at the redhead's empty sleeve. That's right. It seems that I want to find an opportunity. I will talk to that guy Long first. The Knights of the Round Table will wait for them to surface and consider it. When the red hair heard this, he also became worried. If you want to stabilize the situation, you can only pull one side into the water. Whitebeard, he's tried his best, no way. The 2 lunatics, Big Mom and Kaido, have no possibility of negotiating. Right now, we can only place our hopes on the top 20 Revolutionary Army Dragon. 010. I am on the list, only ranked top 11. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Just when everyone in One Piece world was still amazed and shocked by the shock brought by the Knightless Gao Wen. The golden light on the gold list changes again. The new list has arrived. Open black lens bracket top 12. Knights of the Round Table, Lancelot, Knight of the Lake close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket job introduction. Saber close black lens bracket. Treasure phantasm. All locks break overweight lake light, Arondite oval undestroyable lake light, Arondite knights do not die unarmed, knight of honor, not for someone's glory, for someone's glory. A member of the Knights of the Round Table, a hero known as the strongest knight, serving King Arthur. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. He loves justice, respects women, hates evil, has a clean and romantic figure, and was evaluated by King Arthur as an ideal knight. Close black lens bracket. Possesses the characteristic of immortality, and has strong comprehensive strength. Close black lens bracket. Comprehensive evaluation. Gauji a beautiful knight's flower. Reward for ranking top 15 to 10. Conqueror's hockey qualification. Comma. Sanctuary Mariajoy, among the flowers. On the void throne. A bright red eye opened. Another one I haven't heard of. There is absolutely no history in this world that I don't understand. The one who was shrouded in shadow had a gloomy tone. This is the supreme leader of celestial dragons. The master behind the world government, the master of the void throne. Lord I am from the mouth of 5 elders. Shao, Knights of the Round Table. If it really exists, at least it has survived for thousands of years. There is absolutely no such existence in this world. Im's face in the darkness was extremely gloomy. Although she doesn't trust the ranking of this gold list at all. But she also enjoys it. She has been bored all year round, but her curiosity has long been hooked by this gold list. That's what she's most curious about. Advertisement. As I am, the master of the world, where would she be ranked in the gold list? Although curious. But in fact, she already had a guess in her heart that someone in this world who could surpass her in combat power. Absolutely not. But if there is such a powerful person in this world, it's possible to recover it and be my subordinate. It's also a very interesting thing. I am rare. The corners of the mouth are split. Show a piercing smile. Rao as those heaven-defying powerhouses on the gold list, in her eyes at this moment. It's not enough to watch. She even had the idea of trying to subdue the other party. The root cause of it. Just because of. How do these people reach this level of strength? I am very curious. This is not the power that humans should have at all. Crazy flashes in Im's eyes, and his thoughts are beating wildly. Next moment. She froze for a moment. Are you here? Top 11. After saying that, I.M. set his sights on the gold list hanging high in the sky. However, at this moment, there is no change in the gold list. It is still displaying the information of top 12 knights on the lake. The next moment, only then did the golden characters above the sky glow with a faint golden light, and then they began to rearrange and combine. This is observation hockey in action. The top level of knowledge and knowledge covers the sky. And even miracles like the gold list were predicted by I.M. in advance. What kind of power is this? Open black lens bracket top 11. I.M. close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The master behind the scenes of the world government, the supreme leader of the celestial dragons, the master of the void throne, and the master of the world. Close black lens bracket. Advertisement. It has been in the holy land of Mariajoy all year round, among the flowers, for an unknown number of years. Close black lens bracket. Then she was gradually forgotten by people, but she, who is immortal and holds the absolute secret of the world, has already surpassed her strength. Close black lens bracket. It is the limit of this world. Close black lens bracket. Comprehensive comment. The peak of power, the peak of combat power. Close black lens bracket. Reward for ranking TOP 15 TOP 10. Conqueror's hockey qualification. Close black lens bracket. The list is opened. Now the whole world. Various forces. Marine. Pirates. 4 emperors. World government. Even the celestial dragons. At this moment, everyone is so shocked that it is difficult to add. Comma. The island of white clay, Baldigo. One of the bases of the Revolutionary Army. Behind the Marine is the world government, and behind the world government are the celestial dragons. The real owner of the celestial dragons is the 11th ranked I.M. How powerful is the opponent we will face? Sabo, chief of staff of the Revolutionary Army, was shocked. Well, but we can't back down. If we retreat, who will overthrow the celestial dragons that dominate the world government and the current unequal rule? Long, the commander-in-chief of the Revolutionary Army, opened his mouth to drink. All of a sudden, the morale of a high-level Revolutionary Army present was pulled back. Where there is oppression, there is resistance. Although our current strength is still insufficient, as long as we work together, we will definitely be able to see that day, just like the original intention of the Akatsuki organization. The power of the people must be the strongest. Long saw that everyone was full of vigor, and he spoke again to encourage them. The heart is also extremely dignified. Although the slogan is so loud. But the sense of urgency in his heart is getting stronger and stronger. As the commander-in-chief, he naturally has a deep understanding of the strength of the Revolutionary Army. Except for him, there is no existence that can carry the banner of revolution. Advertisement. He is very optimistic about Sabo. But the opponent is in the golden age of growth. If you want to be independent, you need time to accumulate and continue to precipitate. It's a pity that the fruits rewarded by the gold list are still a bit inferior. It's not suitable for Sabo. Otherwise, relying on his talent, Devil Fruit will definitely be able to develop to the highest level. Long's eyes full of wisdom kept scanning the people on the conference table. Sabayati Archipelago. Shaki's rip-off bar. Really, there really is such a terrifying existence among the flowers. Shaki had a cigarette in his mouth, his face full of disbelief. As an intelligence officer, she was also shocked by the news revealed by Jin Bang. So that's it, so everything makes sense. There is nothing wrong with Roger's choice. Start the era of great pirates, let the world pattern out of the control of the world government. Get a glimmer of life from it. Rayleigh's eyes were shining brightly, staring at the two big characters on the celestial list in a daze. Roger, are you nostalgic for the past again, old man? Shaki was taken aback for a moment, shook his head and said with emotion. But, where do you think Roger would be if he were still alive? What number? Rayleigh had a look of reminiscence on his face when he heard that. Maybe, can reach within TOP 15 TOP 20. Rayleigh sighed with some uncertainty. That's the One Piece. An existence that countless big pirates admire. As the world crazy, Shaki covered his mouth, a little surprised by what Rayleigh said. 011. Shoot for the gold list. All furious. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Sanctuary Mariajoy, among the flowers. Can't hold back. I'm only ranked 11th. Im's red pupils are getting brighter and brighter. The anger in my heart is also rising steadily. Clang. The blade is unsheathed. How many years have passed? There is still a moment worth my shot. Murmured cruelly, firmly grasping the sharp blade in his hand. Next second, the air seems to be stagnant. Boom. A red sword chi whizzed out, like thunder. In the blink of an eye. That huge sword energy reached the sky above, pointing at gold list. Wherever the sword chi passed, the space vibrated and almost shattered. At this moment, the powerhouses of the entire pirate world felt something. Look up towards the sky. This sword energy. Is this the ultimate kendo I'm after? On the New World search boat, Hawkeye stood up from his seat, looking fascinated. Dry. Look at the sky. Someone wants to attack the gold list. In front of such a miracle, there are still people who dare to attack him. Who the hell? Mom, this world is crazy, I want to go home. Not just ordinary people. Marine hero Garp, 4 Emperors Kaido, and BIMOM, and redheads are feeling their scalps go numb at the moment. Damn it. Who the hell did it? If you offend those existences, will we also be destroyed? IWC. The ant threw down the cake in her hand at this moment. Advertisement. Swearing. Its image is like a shrew. It's a guy who doesn't know how to live or die. If you want to die, don't drag Lousy into the water. Wanokuni. Kaido can't stop his anger at this moment. Although he plays suicide every day, it's not that he really wants to die. That's because of his absolute confidence in his own strength. But in the current situation, the self-confidence in his heart was gone. Naval headquarters. Garp slapped the table violently, and the entire table instantly turned into fly ash. Don't let the old man know who did it, or the old man will drag him into the water even if he dies. Garp looked crazy, gnashing his teeth. This person's attack on Jinbang was undoubtedly intended to bring destruction to the entire world. Those kinds of miracles are simply not something that can be countered by humans. Even if the gold list destroys the entire pirate world. Garp would not put his hatred on Jinbang, but only on the person who swung the sword. Invincible sword energy. Strong. The old man has a son, a grandson, and a new generation of Marines, big and small, who need my protection. Even if it is a god. The old man will also pull you down from the altar. Garp murmured with a gloomy expression. New world. Red hair pirates. Beckman, aren't the strong ones all wise? How could you make such a stupid move? Even with his good temper, he couldn't calm down now. Rarely, his tone was filled with anger. Red hair, can wield such sword energy. Must be one of those people on the list. And the sharpness of this sword energy almost tears the space. Beckman gave the answer, and sighed in his heart. It seems that it is only a moment. It seems like a long time has passed. Finally, that incomparably fierce sword energy finally touched the golden light in the sky. Boom. Advertisement. The color of the world changes upon contact. The clouds with a radius of thousands of miles around were instantly smoothed by this strong shock wave. Then it disappeared without a trace. 1 second. 2 seconds. 3 seconds. Click. There was a cracking sound. The next moment, the huge red sword energy shattered. Subsequently, the faint golden light on the gold list slowly faded away. This blow briefly collided, and the gold list was unscathed. And that sword energy was directly shattered by the gold list. This is not on a level at all. Anyone who offends the gold list will be punished. Close black lens bracket. Missing you is the first offender, giving you the pain of the soul. Close black lens bracket. If there is a next time, it will definitely make you irreversible. Close black lens bracket. The deafening sound resounded. Everyone in the entire pirate world was shocked and felt the wrath of Jinbang. Some ordinary people are already kneeling on the ground at this moment, constantly bowing in the direction of Jinbang, begging Jinbang to let pirate world go. At the same time as the voice of the gold list fell. Among the flowers, I am on the throne of the void. Suddenly fell to his knees. Holding his head tightly with his hands, his expression was ferocious. Then, a miserable voice resounded through the Holy Land Mariajoy. This moment, the celestial dragons finally figured out what was going on. All of them looked shocked. They didn't blame the Lord, but the strength that shocked the gold list. To make that adult suffer so much. At this moment, their celestial dragons' haughty hearts inevitably suffered a little blow. Sengoku on his way to Five Elders' office. It was also the scream that was so miserable that it didn't sound like a human voice. Heart suddenly. As the resourceful general, he immediately had the answer in his heart. Even the Five Elders have to submit, the 11th ranked master I am. Can't even shake the gold list. Suppressing the shock in his heart, Sengoku reached out and knocked on the door of Five Elders. Advertisement. Fortunately, the gold list didn't kill us. The ant saw the situation come to an end. Can't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Then her complexion became gloomy again. Katakuri, go down and find out the ins and outs of this incident. I must let the person who shot the gold list know what it feels like to regret. Yes, Mom. Katakuri, who was wearing a scarf, responded with cold eyes. Wanokuni. Jin, find out about this for Lousy. Kaido looked gloomy and issued an order. He has ultimate defense power and great destructive power. But I don't know what to be afraid of. Just now his life was almost lost because of someone else. This is absolutely intolerable to him. Okay, Master Kaido. As soon as the words fell, Jin disappeared with the fluttering of wings. New World. Red Hair Pirates. Beckman, set sail. Towards the Sabayati Archipelago. The red-haired stared like a torch, and ordered. Sabayati Archipelago. Do you want to confront that strong man? You're too impulsive, redhead. Beckman was stunned for a moment, and then reflected. The redhead's intention was obviously to confront the strong man who attacked Jinbang. Although the sword energy is far away, its direction is very likely. Just near the Sabayati Archipelago. Except for the fact that the four emperors sent out manpower to investigate various famous forces on the sea. Investigations have also been launched. Their goals are surprisingly consistent. It is to make this person who angered Jinbang pay the price. 012. The marine conscription that was advanced. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Boom. Boom. There was a knock on the door. Come in. The old man in a dark blue suit and with a long white beard on the conference table spoke. Squeak. Pushing open the door, Sengoku stepped into the meeting room of the World Government Five Elders. As soon as he entered the door, he felt a little cramped. Just because the eyes of the five world government leaders were all focused on him at this moment, he felt unprecedented pressure. Sengoku, what are you here for? An old man with birthmark Madara lines on his forehead spoke out in doubt. Master Five Elders, I want to report to you about the secret talks between Whitebeard and Akatsuki. Sengoku answered quickly, not daring to neglect. Whitebeard and Shao secretly talking. Tell me the story. The old man with blonde hair and a golden beard opened his mouth while tapping on the table with his hands. The remaining four old men who didn't speak were all taken aback at the moment. Even the old man who had been holding the knife with his eyes closed opened his eyes and looked at each other when he heard this. Yes, Lord Five Elders. Actually, this information is not information collected by our marine. But today, our naval headquarters has an unexpected visitor. Quote. It took quite a while before Sengoku explained the ins and outs of the matter clearly. Listen. Five elders, each lost in thought. There was no opening for a long time, leaving only Sengoku who was at a loss in place, guessing their thoughts in his heart. Do you need to report this matter to Lord I am? The speaker, wearing a black suit, has white curly hair, a fluffy white beard, a flat hat, and a scar on the left side of his face. No need, Mrs. I am, at this moment. The old man holding a samurai sword shook his head and hesitated. You must know that the Jinbang sent down the punishment, and their master I am must be in a bad condition at the moment. If you go to disturb him at this time, maybe you will anger Lord I am. If Whitebeard and Shao join forces, there is a high probability that Marine will not be able to resist. Advertisement. The old man with the longest beard spoke out the calculation in his heart. At this time, he already had the urge to go out in person. But, without Lord Im's order, we can only The bald old man with a mustache saw the other person's mind and reminded him. And, those Shichibukai don't really want to help Marine either. They're likely to sit on the sidelines. The bald man holding a samurai sword sighed and said. Hey, Sengoku sighed in his heart. The essential purpose of his coming to the Holy Land this time is to hope that the five elders can make a move. Otherwise, according to the current ranking of the gold list, their marine really can't pass this level. Master five elders, although our marine strength is not weak. However, if you face the last four emperors, plus Akatsuki who is on the gold list, we definitely can't hold on. Sengoku gritted his teeth and said. Although he doesn't want to admit that marine is weak, this is the truth. Well, we also understand the situation of your marine. But, this time the ace execution cannot be missed. The blonde and bearded man nodded in agreement with Sengoku. But, Sengoku wanted to say something at this moment, but was interrupted. We will consider the matter of insufficient combat power. The old man holding a samurai sword said. Should we recall CP9 to support marine? A suggestion is made. The atmosphere in the conference room changed instantly. The atmosphere of the relaxed conversation just now suddenly became serious. CP9 has been laid out for so long, so it should be available soon. Now is not the time for a recall. Someone objected. However, without recalling the current combat power, there is no way to annihilate Whitebeard. Many times, there is a trade-off. Some people agree. Advertisement. Otherwise, try conscription first. If you can join Marine with strong combat power, then there is no need to think about replacing the tasks performed by CP9. At this time, the white curly-haired old man who didn't participate in many topics spoke. Conscription. I agree. Relying on the image that Marine has maintained over the years, conscription is definitely the best policy. I agree. Sengoku, activate conscription. Marine needs to be reshuffled. Increase your own paper strength. Hearing this, Sengoku was shocked. Although conscription may reshuffle Marine's current official positions and shake their hearts. But, that's a huge boon for Marine. As the Marshal of the Marine, he dreams of conscription. If it weren't for the world government not wanting Marine to be too powerful, it would stipulate Marine's military rank and combat power. They Marine have long wanted to make 5 admirals, 6 admirals or something like that. Yes, Lord 5 Elders. I'll be heading back to Naval Headquarters right away to arrange this. Complete the preparations for conscription as quickly as possible. Seeing Sengoku understand, the 5 elders signaled that he could step down. Just the next moment, an old man with white curly hair, with his hands on crutches. Get up from your seat suddenly. By the way, empty that guy when you leave. Bring back Marine too. If he disagrees, he says it's my order. What? The atmosphere in the meeting room suddenly fell into shock and silence again. Kong, former Marshal of the Marine. Advertisement. Sengoku, Garp, Crane's immediate boss. He who had already retired and exited the new era, now let him come out again. Okay, Master 5 Elders. Sengoku's expression remained unchanged, and he said respectfully. My heart is already happy. Marine big conscription, plus the addition of Kong. At this moment, he is full of confidence in the upcoming battle. Although Akatsuki collaborated with Whitebeard, but the layout of their marine is also very sufficient. Strong paper strength, coupled with the hidden chess buried in the opponent. Plus home field advantage. This battle, it is impossible for them Marine to lose. Sengoku has a lot of thoughts in his heart. He has already started to imagine that after Marine executes Ace, his prestige will rise again. The picture of Marine developing towards a higher height. Justice may be delayed, but I will never be absent. The era of world peace is finally hopeful. Leaving Sengoku, the holy land of Mariajoy, all smiles. After Sengoku left, the 5 elders meeting room. In this case, Marine's strength will not be too strong. You have to know that if your subordinates are strong, they will easily devour the master. The old man holding a samurai sword shook his head, expressing his incomprehension. Humph. Marine's strength is only temporary. After the war, both sides must suffer. Don't question my decision, I definitely put our own interests first. Even if this is the case, the Akatsuki organization will most likely still have the upper hand. When the words fell, the audience was shocked. 013. King Arthur. Kingdom of Britain. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Impossible. If the Marine conscription goes well, Marine's combat power, even we will be afraid. With such strength on paper, might it not be as good as Shao? You look too high at that Akatsuki, don't you? The bald head holding the samurai sword had been calm all this time, and finally couldn't hold back at this moment, his eyes opened wide. Your brain is broken. How many years have you lived? Who is the leader of Shao organization? May I ask you? Old Whitebeard asked, shaking his head. Uchiha Obito, right? If I remember correctly, the gold list exposed a nominal leader and a behind-the-scenes leader. The leader behind the scenes is the leader of the Akatsuki organization, Uchiha Obito. The old man holding a samurai sword said firmly. Wrong. Uchiha Obito is the mastermind behind the scenes though. But what is summarized on the gold list is not the real leader. After the words fell, everyone fell into deep thought. But as far as who is the leader, it doesn't make much sense, does it? It is not meaningful. Will the leader be weaker than his subordinates? Drought is stronger than Kaido. Can Beckman beat the redhead? Can Katakuri stand against Big Mom? How do we compare with Lord I.M.? A series of rhetorical questions made the audience like a pot of empowerment. You mean, the leader of the Akatsuki organization has someone else? And his combat power is likely to be so high that the gold list has not been exposed yet. Advertisement. How can that be? If this is the case, even we will feel troubled, right? Could it be that our reign for so many years is vain? Vulnerable. An old man became more and more excited as he spoke, his hands couldn't help shaking. How many years have passed? They actually felt it. Emotion of fear. Send those guys over there. Relieved, he proposed. This is not just a game between Marine and Xiao Whitebeard. This is the game between Akatsuki and the world government. Akatsuki is challenging their authority. In the end, it is the world government that will defend the ring and continue its rule for nearly 1,000 years. Still failed to defend the ring, the new king ascended the throne. All will be decided in the next battle. You mean to send those CPs to help Marine? Has it gotten this far? An old man understood the meaning and couldn't help sighing. Their world government's cards for nearly 1,000 years are being played one by one. The cards left for them, not many. That's right, since you all agree with it. Then, this matter is so decided. One wave of ups and downs and another wave of ups and downs. Just experience the attack on the gold list. The new list has already been released. Advertisement. Open black lens bracket top 10. Leader of the Knights of the Round Table, King Arthur, Artoria Pendragon close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket job introduction. Saber close black lens bracket. Noble Phantasm. Excalibur, Invisible Air, Avalon, far away from everything, shining in Rongomyniad. The legendary King of Britain. Also known as the King of Knights. Since becoming king, he has been called King Arthur. In the era of the decline of chivalry, holding the holy sword brought brief peace and final prosperity to Britain. Close black lens bracket. Incomparably powerful, the Sword of Treasure contract victory is a god-made weapon forged by stars, the treasure that stands at the top of the holy sword, the most powerful is the scabbard, which was lost for a long time in the middle. Close black lens bracket. But now that the scabbard is back, King Arthur wearing the scabbard will never bleed, and the complete King Arthur has no dead ends. Close black lens bracket. Comprehensive evaluation. The direction of my king's sword is the direction of my heart. Close black lens bracket. Reward for ranking TOP 15 TOP 10, Conquerors Hockey Qualification. Close black lens bracket. Today's list is updated, and 3 days later, the list of TOP 10 TOP 0 will be announced. Close black lens bracket. A few lines of big characters eloquently summed up the mighty power of King Arthur. King Arthur. What is it? How does it compare to One Piece? The Kingdom of Britain. Is there such a country? What is the Holy Sword? Is it as powerful as the Supreme Sword? A series of questions filled the hearts of the crowd. All of a sudden, the topic continued, and the streets and alleys were all about King Arthur. Of course, there are people with high IQs who can already guess a lot. The Holy Sword must be stronger than the Supreme Sword, those who have the Supreme Sword can be stronger than the 4 Emperors, Garp, etc. And King Arthur who owns the Holy Sword ranks top 10. Let's judge. There is no record in the epic of the Kingdom of Britain. How prosperous will the kingdom of the Knights of the Round Table be? An old man looked fascinated and puzzled. Could it be that void century history? At this time, someone asked. But the next moment, he didn't dare to speak again. Shish, these are not things that civilians can talk about casually. I guess it must be 1,000 years ago. Who can make their country perish? This King Arthur is definitely stronger than the One Piece King Roger. Advertisement. If you think about it, the mighty Roger was captured by Marine in the end. And King Arthur is the king of the world government behind Marine, above IM. Let's put it bluntly, Roger and King Arthur are not at the same level at all. Exclamation mark. It really keeps refreshing our 3 views, this gold list. Originally, I thought that the most powerful ones were Marine and 4 Emperors. I didn't expect the Revolutionary Army to appear behind. After that came the 5 Elders, and the Akatsuki organization again. The Knights of the Round Table, also appeared in the end. I can't even imagine what top 1 top 10 is like now. Who do you think is stronger, the Xiao organization or the Knights of the Round Table? Suddenly, someone asked a question that surprised everyone. The Knights of the Round Table are stronger. After all, They are all ranked in the top 15, and Akatsuki is already in the top 15. It must be the Knights of the Round Table, do you need to ask? No one really thinks that there is a problem with the ranking of the gold list. I think the Akatsuki organization is stronger. Didn't you find out that the leader of the Shao organization has not been exposed until now? The guy who can be called the leader will be inferior to his subordinates. You have been looking at the list for so long, haven't you summed up the rules? Strength and status are directly proportional. A high intelligence populace gave its reasons. Instantly. The upsurge of this discussion became even crazier. 014. The Great War is imminent. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. New World. In the depths of the isolated island, a castle stands tall. If an outsider has been here, he will definitely be shocked by the sight in front of him. There are no islands occupied by pirates in New World. Most importantly, there are buildings here. In other words, it is not an uninhabited island. My respected king, the gold list will expose us all to the eyes of the public. Are we going to move ahead? The blonde-haired Gao Wen knelt alone and reported with his head down. Miss Gao Wen, who do you think will make our target? Arthur Arturia on the throne got up, his tone was not angry but mighty. Wow, I saw Arturia spreading her hands. Countless photos were thrown out. Then it floated down in front of Gao Wen. With his head down, Gao Wen instantly saw all the information on these photos. The content on the photo is impressively big and small kingdoms. A portrait of the world government. Celestial dragons. Don Quixote family. Wanokuni. Alabasta. Drum Tata Kingdom. Elephant Lord. Even the once destroyed kingdoms of Ohara and the Great Kingdom are among them. My respected king, I think the Fur tribe is a good target. The opponent's country has a long history, and its strength is not strong. Gao Wen didn't think too much, and looked up to answer. What do you mean? Would our Knights of the Round Table be afraid of the mighty power of the pirate world? The dull-haired Arturia frowned. Without warning, he struck out with a palm from the air. Advertisement. In the next moment, Gao Wen, who was kneeling alone, was instantly sent flying. Boom. Accompanied by a huge collision sound resounding. The body of Gao Wen, who flew out forcefully, opened a big hole in the wall. No, my king, I just gave the safest answer at the moment. Even if he was attacked by King Arthur without warning, Gao Wen was not angry at all. Not daring to neglect at all, after sliding down the wall, he knelt down on one knee again. Whether these so-called kingdoms or powers are good. As long as the king wants. We can take them all at any time. Gao Wen, do it yourself. After King Arthur finished speaking, he raised the wind out of thin air, blowing up pictures one by one, and then swung several swords. All the photos with portraits were turned into ashes. King Arthur also sighed deeply in his heart. Gao Wen is indeed his most proud and loyal subordinate. But, Gao Wen needs to be loyal not only to her, but also to that adult. Although he, Gao Wen, was unquestionably loyal to that lord. But at every moment, he always obeys himself, thus neglecting to consider for that adult. Do you understand now? Arturia asked with a serious face. Understood, my king. It's my negligence, we don't have the right to choose. Any action needs to obey the instructions of that adult. We just need to be adults' sharp blades. Gao Wen raised his head and replied in a serious tone. This time, Arturia finally nodded in satisfaction. I believe that we will be useful soon. Arturia considered for a moment, then spoke. Talk off. All the Knights of the Round Table were shaken. Hidden for so long, their strength has already reached the peak under the shaping of that adult. Is it finally time to be able to serve adults? How could this not be uplifting to them? Advertisement. At the same time, Marine officially announced that Marine has launched a big conscription. The whole sea shook again. Worried Fujitora spent a long time in a tavern. Listen to the information about the Marine conscription discussed by the drinkers. Old man, let's go. Only Marine has any hope of fighting the Akatsuki organization. After an unknown amount of time, Fujitora gritted his teeth and paid for the drink. Let's go. On the beach, a green cow basking in the sun. He casually picked up the newspaper that the news bird had dropped, and read it for a while. Marine conscription, interesting. It seems that my boring days are finally coming to an end. After the words fell, the green cow got up and left the place. Neo Naval Headquarters. Mr. Zephyr, this is today's newspaper. Ain looked complicated, hesitated for a long time, and handed the newspaper to Zephyr. Your complexion is not very good, Ain. Is it because you have been too tired from practicing recently? You should pay attention to the combination of work and rest. Zephyr grinned. Then he took the newspaper and read it roughly. Marine conscription. What the hell happened? The world government actually delegated the power to let Marines conscript. As soon as he saw the words on it, Zephyr became restless and slammed the newspaper on the table. Shouted with disbelief. Teacher, I'm afraid something big is about to happen. Ain was worried and expressed his guess. Ah, is it because of Jinbang's existence? Zephyr gazed at the sky and sighed with emotion. Although he and Marine's ideas have become paranoid. Advertisement. But, Marine has his old friends. Ain, call Bins and Shuzo and set off immediately to Marineford. Only these people, the rest don't need to follow, to prevent people who want to find our tracks. Zephyr let out a breath, as if letting out all the entanglements in his heart. What? Yes. In was shocked by this sudden change and lost all thoughts. But subconsciously, he still took the order. There are thousands of thoughts in my heart, and infinite guesses. Could it be that Teacher Zephyr wants to settle the feud with Marshal Sengoku? Li Tian is simply the best in the world. Ain shook his head, shook off the random thoughts in his mind, and mobilized. Same moment. New world. The Whitebeard pirates mobilized and secretly informed after so many days. Whitebeard has almost all the forces, including the affiliated pirate group. All assembled. Moby Dick aboard. Marco is reporting. All the official crew members of the Old Man are assembled, and all the subordinate crew members can arrive. It's also all assembled. Just wait for your father to order. Talk off. All captains, crew members, and affiliated pirates. Pirates big and small are all looking at the one on the main seat. Known as the strongest man in the world, their father Whitebeard. Kulala lala, little ones. Take the helm and head towards Naval Headquarters, Marineford. Rescue Ace. Whitebeard thrust the Naginata into the deck. Stand up and boldly issue the order resounding here. 015. Black background red cloud, weird duo. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Over time, the tension pervading the entire pirate world is getting stronger. All eyes of the world are on Marineford. Big fight. Instantly. The Sabayati archipelago near Marineford. There are also a large number of pirates gathered at this moment. They all want to witness the imminent war that is about to break out. Among them, the most famous ones are the new generation of pirate supernovas. They are early, for various reasons. They gathered at the Sabayati archipelago. They are all the best among the pirates, and they are not good at such things as joining in the fun under the eyes of Marine. They don't have the slightest fear. How can they be called pirates if they are not passionate? But, supernovas gather, and near the Naval Headquarters base camp. For Marine, this is undoubtedly an opportunity delivered to the door. Not to mention, they have angered the masters of this world, the celestial dragons. That old man Sengoku really likes to order me around. You have to know that the single-round personal combat power of these supernovas is terrifying. You let me deal with them all by myself. A wrinkled man with yellow sunglasses and a cloak of justice set foot on this island. If someone finds out, they will definitely recognize their identity directly. Everyone knows the status and strength of the opponent. One of Marine's new 3 admirals, Kizaru Admiral. On the other side, outside the auction house. The supernovas are in a mess. Luffy, what a good thing you did. Drake roared, but his feet were not slow, and he ran away frantically. There are countless supernovae who also fled. Only Luffy, Hawkins, and Kid remained unchanged. Advertisement. If you provoke celestial dragons, you will definitely attract Marine Admiral, right? Kira, you said if first killed Marine Admiral. Will it be fun? The red-haired kid grinned arrogantly. Never mind Marine Admiral. Kid, we'd better be careful. Marine Admiral's strength is not simple. Kira at the side saw her captain's crazy thoughts, and hurriedly sounded a reminder. But in return it was a scolding. Are you scared? I'm a man who wants to ride the sea. Marine Admiral is just a stepping stone for my kid. Without the slightest fear in his heart, Kid spoke again arrogantly. The rest of the supernovas who understood the weight of the 4 characters Marine Admiral shook their heads secretly when they heard this. Judge Kid is a fool like Luffy. But, they didn't pay attention to Kid, and fleeing from the Sabayati archipelago quickly is the most important thing they should do. Or wait for there. It will be a disaster. What is Marine Admiral? Is there something to eat? Is that stuff delicious? The perpetrator, Luffy, asked around with a puzzled face. Standing behind him is a group of crew members of the Straw Hat Pirates with their foreheads supported and their faces covered in black lines. Time to run, Luffy. Nami didn't answer Luffy's doubts, but shouted eagerly. Hello, I am Pelusilino, Kizaru. What, aren't you running away? Before the person arrives, the voice arrives first. The lazy voice was like thunder in the ears of the remaining supernovas. The atmosphere instantly became tense. Luffy, run. Nami raised her eyes and screamed. You guys with a reward of over 100 million. Everyone is like a monster, so scary. After the words fell, Kizaru finally walked in front of everyone. Instantly, all the muscles present were tense. Advertisement. The battle is about to start. Don't be nervous. Can you wait a moment? Are some mice still running away? Kizaru opened his knowledgeable eyes slightly, noticed something strange, and said frivolously. Of course it's fine. Luffy grinned at the corner of his mouth, and replied in a daze. Kizaru, who was about to leave, was stunned. This guy. But the movement of the feet is not slow, the next second. His figure had disappeared in place, leaving only a faint golden light. Boom, boom, boom. A series of collision sounds resounded. Then the whole island suddenly shook. Boom, rumble. All the supernovas that were still running away were kicked away fiercely. After smashing through many buildings, it barely stopped. It's been a long time, everyone. My matter has been settled, and it will be your turn next. Everyone, are you ready? When everyone came to their senses, Kizaru's figure had already returned. Only a few seconds have passed since leaving. All those supernovas who escaped were kicked away by him. Kizaru scanned the crowd, and then set his sights on Hawkins, who was sitting on the stone steps. This kid is so calm. Ah, can I bother you a little bit? Kizaru came close to him and bent down. The gentleman asked. However, Hawkins, who was sitting on the steps, didn't answer, and didn't even bother to make an expression. He just stared straight at Kizaru without blinking. It's terrible. After a long time, Kizaru sighed again. Have you ever been lifted by the speed of light? Kizaru felt a little angry in his heart. In his opinion, Hawkins' actions at the moment were undoubtedly provocative. Advertisement. Speed as weight. Word off. The golden light shone wantonly. Still waiting for any reaction from Hawkins. Kizaru's feet that turned into light particles have come to his head. However, even at this moment, Hawkins' expression never happened, even the slightest change. Are you confident and have your whole cards? He was still weak, so he didn't have time to react, so he had no way of knowing. Boom. Rumble. Hawking, who was kicked in the head, was sent flying like a cannonball. Boom. The huge impact caused Hawkins' body to slam into the building. However, the incomparably solid building in the past was like tofu at this moment, and it was easily knocked away by Hawkins. Even the speed has not decreased at all. Boom. Boom. One after another, residential buildings were shattered by the impact. Until Hawkins flew upside down and disappeared from everyone's sight. Gulu. Usopp's Adam's apple squirmed unconsciously, and his legs trembled uncontrollably. In this situation, the dead can't die anymore. Just one hit. That's the kind of destructive power. Usopp is already hopeless at this moment, anticipating his own future death. The one over there wearing the cloak of justice is Marine's admiral, right? A man wearing a black-bottomed red cloud windbreaker asked aloud. Yes, but I remind you that we didn't come out to cause trouble. Beside him, a man dressed the same as him spoke. Haha, that guy really suits my taste. And isn't Marine our enemy? If I kill him, it will destroy your original plan. But isn't the end result good? 016. Deidara strikes, battle breaks out. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. HMPH, quick decision. Prevent side effects. Don't make me wait any longer. As he spoke, he took off the bamboo hat he was wearing, revealing his true face. Fiery red hair, amber pupils, and a delicate face. The Jade Girl of Dawn. The Red Sand Scorpion. Humph. You really don't want to wait a moment. And are you questioning my strength? Shia's companion at the side also took off his hat when he finished speaking. Dark blonde hair with hair covering the left eye and a braid on top of the head. The Azure Dragon of Dawn, Deidara. After the words fell, Deidara closed the seal with one hand. Detonating clay giant bird. Boom. Accompanied by a puff of smoke. A gigantic flying bird made of white clay emerged out of thin air. Deidara leapt onto the bird's back. I still have to thank Jinbang. It's suffocating me. Let this world see the art called explosion. The corners of Deidara's mouth curled up, and he rushed towards Kizaru. Okay. Kizaru, who was about to deal with Kid's group, was taken aback and turned his head. His eyes fixed on Deidara, who was flying towards him. Reinforcements. It's terrible. As expected of a supernova with a reward of over 100 million. Amazon Cloud Sword. Kizaru showed fear on his face, but his tone was slightly frivolous. He clasped his hands together, holding out a dazzling golden light. Then it stretched suddenly, and a lightsaber made of light particles appeared impressively. Want melee. Marine Admiral. The corners of Deidara's mouth twitched. Randomly, a handful of kunai appeared in his hand and was firmly grasped by him. The flying speed of the giant bird under his feet is even worse. Advertisement. This sudden change stunned everyone present. Seeing the speed at which the opponent was flying straight down, everyone unanimously chose to retreat. The impending impact is absolutely irresistible. Clang. The sound of metal collision resounded. Kizaru only felt a huge pressure, and the shock wave swept through his cloak, floating wantonly. The ground directly collapsed to 3 feet below the ground. The surrounding soil clods cracked and splashed everywhere. It's scary, this power. Although Kizaru was enduring this force, his face was still as frivolous as ever. The voice fell. His muscles tensed suddenly, and the arm holding the sword grew even more visible to the naked eye. Click. In Didara's unbelievable look, the kunai in his hand was shattered. Seeing something bad, Didara hurriedly backed away to distance himself. As expected of Marine Admiral, physical skills are really powerful. Didara cried out in surprise. It was just a tentative blow, and Kizaru did not choose to pursue it. Instead, they stood in place and observed each other. Unfamiliar face, are you a pirate? Physical arts. This old man is not physical arts. It's just that his physique is slightly stronger than ordinary people. Kizaru shook his head and said modestly. Pirate, we don't bother to do that. My name is Didara, Didara, the Azure Dragon of Dawn. Didara stabilized his figure and retorted disdainfully. Being mistaken for a pirate. He can't bear it, he doesn't pay attention to 4 emperors and 1 piece. Not just because of his confidence in his own strength. A larger part of the reason is that the people he gets along with more and more are all real monsters. What? You said you belong to Akatsuki. Kizaru was astonished, but he thought about the other party in his heart. These days, shouldn't anyone be so bold as to pretend to be Akatsuki? Shao organization, you have been hiding for so many years, what is the purpose of coming out now? Kizaru's complexion became unusually serious, and he asked aloud. Purpose? Hehe, is our Shao organization obliged to tell you this? Advertisement. Didara shook her head without answering. Although his brain is not smart, it doesn't mean he is stupid. He can still tell the difference between what can be said and what cannot be said. The old man and your excellency have no grievances or enmities. I don't know why you want to attack me. Seeing that the other party didn't want to say more, and he wasn't annoyed, Kizaru asked again. What he faced was a member of the legendary Akatsuki organization. How could he be careless? If he provoked an enemy like the Akatsuki organization for Marine, his wages shall not be withheld in full. Of course he doesn't know Akatsuki's plan to destroy Marine. Otherwise, he might let go of the fight now. Humph. Do you need a reason to make a move? There was a gleam in Didara's eyes. It's just that I haven't come out for activities for a long time. When I came out, I saw you so interesting and powerful. It makes my hands itch. After hearing this, Kizaru's face was covered with black lines. This is the reason why I was attacked inexplicably. If it weren't for the old man to have observation hockey. Now you still have to be beaten up with a bruised nose and a swollen face. I wonder if your excellency can wait a moment. Wait until I finish dealing with some mice, and I'm fighting with you. Although Kizaru was slandering in his heart, he didn't dare to speak out. After all, the other party is Shao. He can't afford to provoke, and he doesn't want to provoke these troubles. I don't care. But, my companion doesn't like to wait, and it's difficult for me. Didara looked bitter. In the next second, the corners of his mouth curled up, and there was a hint of ferocity in his eyes. Then waved his sleeves and opened his hands, showing his weird lips that grow on the palm of his hand. Detonating clay little bird. Talk off. Clay-like birds flew out one by one. Run towards Kizaru. Advertisement. Kizaru didn't talk nonsense when he saw the opponent's attack, he narrowed his eyes, and slashed fiercely at the right hand of Amakongan's sword he was holding. However, the expected collision did not. Some are just. Art is a blast. Crack. Not far away, Didara's eyes were filled with excitement when he saw the success. Shout out with joy. Rumble. A series of explosions resounded through the air. Smoke everywhere. The shock wave generated by the explosion leaked out crazily. Okay. Ran away. In the air, standing on the bird's back, Didara watched the cloud of smoke. He muttered to himself uncertainly. It scared me to death, it was really an unexpected attack. A frivolous voice came. Didara turned sharply. Hey, Akatsuki guy, have you ever been lifted by the speed of light? Speed is weight. Light speed kick. In Didara's incredulous gaze. Kizaru, who had already come behind him at some point, dropped his foot. Damn it. What speed is this? It's too late to react. Didara's pupils shrank as he watched the kick come closer. But the next second, the corners of his mouth turned up. I lied to you. Do you know what a ninja is? What? Now it was Kizaru's turn to wonder why the other party was so indifferent. Ninjas do whatever it takes to achieve their goals. 017. The battle is fierce, and the explosion feast. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The voice fell. I saw Kizaru hit with a kick. But the expected knock-up didn't happen. His right leg, which turned into light particles, cut off Didara's waist directly. After a successful blow, Kizaru was not happy at all. The bad premonition in my heart became stronger and stronger. Art is a blast. Crack. A familiar voice sounded. Kizaru stared at Didara, who had turned into clay before his eyes, and sighed. At this time, he knew that he had been fooled. With the touch of his feet, Moonwalk unleashed wildly, and in an instant, his figure rose tens of meters in the air. Boom. Rumble. It was like a missile exploding from the air. A small mushroom cloud rises. The temperature in the air has a little heat wave. After a long time, the smoke dissipated. Kizaru, who dodged in time again, had a serious expression on his face. The only contempt left in my heart is gone at this moment. Eyes met Deidara, who appeared again in front of him. Devil fruit ability. These clays of yours can not only produce explosions. It can also be transformed into any shape, right? The you just now were the clay clone made by you, right? Kizaru asked with a solemn expression. As expected of Marine Admiral. Not only is she strong, but she also has good eyesight and wisdom. But, my art isn't bad either. Quote. Okay. Although it was a question sentence, Deidara himself nodded in approval first. Quote. Kizaru didn't say a word, and attacked the opponent again. Advertisement. It seems that the normal explosion range is too small to work on you. Okay. Deidara's eyes lit up, his brain was running fast, and his thoughts came out of his mouth. In that case, just let you see my artwork. C2. Dragon. There was a hint of madness and excitement in the corner of Deidara's mouth. Talk off. A giant flying dragon made of explosive clay appeared. Its size is huge, dozens of times that of the giant bird. The visual impact is extremely shocking. Not just huge. Deidara is also very artistic. A dragon made of clay comes to life. Like a living thing. Its body is also full of momentum. It's chilling to watch. What is this devil fruit ability? Kizaru, who was still running fast, subconsciously stopped, and murmured inconceivably. If such a giant explodes, even as Logia, I could get hurt. Kizaru looked bitter and gave up the idea of melee. The next moment he crossed his hands in front of his chest, palms shaped like orchid fingers. At this moment, his gaze also became sharper. The light particles on the fingertips of orchid finger flickered. 8-foot Chong Guyu. Dazzling light bullets burst out. Attack the dragon. Dragon. Seeing that the situation was not good, Deidara gave an order with a loud shout. Following his orders, the dragon seemed like a living creature that could understand. Accompanied by a dragon chant, the giant dragon opened its bloody mouth. Countless explosive clays were spewed out by it. Boom, boom, rumble. When the light bomb meets the detonating bomb, the sound of the explosion joins together. Rows of mushroom clouds rise. This is Admiral's combat power. Advertisement. Kid's pupils shrunk looking at the sky. The previous self-confidence is gone. Even Luffy, who had been dazed all the time, showed a dignified expression at the moment. Ha ha. Interesting, it's so interesting. This is an explosive feast. Deidara looked at the rows of explosions in front of him, with a look of fascination on his face, and shouted ecstatically. Sure enough, art is an explosion. Now that Guy Zixi will recognize my art, right? Okay. Deidara touched his chin, thinking with satisfaction in his heart. Marine Admiral, how many more surprises can you bring me? Deidara grinned and shouted again. C2 Dragon, go. When the words fall, Pucci. The dragon flapped its wings and the air vibrated. Flying in the direction of Kizaru at a lightning-fast speed. It's scary, Shao organization. The little clay bombs had that power before. If this giant dragon explodes, this Sabayati archipelago will probably suffer. With ups and downs, Kizaru's face is like a bitter melon. This time, Kizaru didn't choose to escape. Instead, just stand there quietly. It was as if he was ready to face death. Under the disbelieving gazes of the crowd, the giant dragon had already come to him. The huge dragon body blocked Kizaru's figure. Just when the dragon was only 3 feet away from Kizaru. Art is a blast. Drink. The sound of crazy excitement sounded. This moment, Kizaru finally moved, and saw him standing with his hands in front of him. Yada mirror. Boom. Rumble. Advertisement. Boom. This explosion. It was deafening than any previous explosion. Come to have more visual impact. The thick smoke made it difficult for everyone on the island to breathe. Some even coughed uncontrollably. The sea level near the island is also beginning to evaporate under this heat wave. Let out plenty of heat. In an instant, the whole island seemed to enter the scorching summer. However, in addition to the energy catharsis produced by the explosion, at the same moment, a laser beam penetrated into the houses in the residential area. But it did not cause substantial damage. After several times of refraction, the ray of light was refracted to the ground, and then stopped. This power is really terrifying. If it explodes on the ground, the whole island will be completely changed. The light fell, and Kizaru's voice came again. In fact, relying on his shining Guguo's characteristics, his speed is actually even higher than that of the giant dragon. But in order to prevent the explosion range of this giant dragon from reaching the residence, he chose to get away a second before the explosion, in order to lure Deidara's dragon to explode in the air. In this way, the destructive power to the ground will be weakened. Kizaru's voice sounded, and Deidara was admiring his own art. Turn around suddenly. I still think that if you don't run, what defense do you have? Marine Admiral, I didn't expect you to be so fast, and you avoided the explosion range at the last second before the explosion. Deidara grinned and praised. As for the opponent's strength, he didn't pay attention at all. The stronger the enemy, the more opportunities he has to show each other, the more artwork he has. This was what he wished for, even if he paid his life for it. But, you seem to have forgotten one thing. Ninjas are unscrupulous. While Kizaru was watching Deidara in the air, a familiar voice sounded from behind him. 018. Pluton Rayleigh, the Red Sand Scorpion joins the battle. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. C1. Clay Spider. When Kizaru reacted, at this moment, within his square inch, densely packed little spiders burst out of the ground. Stop time. Knowledge and color crazy warning. Damn you crazy. Kizaru finally couldn't calm down now. Under the cover of Kizaru's knowledge, within 100 miles of land, it turned out to be full of dense clay spiders. These are real bombs. Now, the radius is hundreds of miles. It's a minefield. When did you make the layout? Kizaru gritted his teeth, showing shock. Hee. Just when we first confronted each other. Using the obscuring vision caused by the smoke from the explosion, I made 2 clones out of clay. One is in the air. One left. Speaking of which, Deidara looked at Kizaru and pointed with his finger. The ground beneath your feet. Then Deidara showed an excited expression. He can't wait to see the artistic feast he has carefully arranged. Art is explosions. Drink. Accompanied by his excited cry. Explosions everywhere. The whole island shook again. But this time it was not so much shaking as the ground shaking. Even, some parts of the island are structurally unstable, and cracks have spread. Damn it. Do you want to destroy the entire island? Advertisement. Kizaru is finally angry at this time. You must know that this island is made up of many big trees. Its essence is actually the rhizome of the Alchiman mangrove, which is formed by scattering. If the island under your feet is destroyed, then the entire Sabayati archipelago will have a chain reaction, and everyone will suffer. If the Sabayati archipelago sank under the nose of his marine admiral, not only Sengoku will pursue him, even the celestial dragons on high will come after him. Just because the status of Sabayati archipelago is too high, whether it is from the level of marine or pirates. For pirates, it is the island of departure again, the only way to the new world. For marine, this is an important place where naval headquarters strictly guards pirates from entering new world. And Sabayati archipelago is also the back garden of celestial dragons, just because it is connected to the red line above as the holy land of Mariajoy. All kinds of factors add up. Even if the opponent is Shao organization, he can't control that much anymore. 8-foot mirror. The cold voice resounded. In the blink of an eye, Kizaru, who is like a loach, saved the day again. Amazon Cloud Sword. Kizaru, who avoided the explosion, did not make too many adjustments, and the light particles flickered in his hands. This time, he didn't choose any crap. And no longer do any hiding of combat power. The color of knowledge and knowledge is fully covered, and then the feet are connected. Lightspeed rushed to Deidara, who was still immersed in the joy of the explosion. Want melee. Deidara was locked by this astonishing aura, and also woke up from the intoxication. Melee combat is really not his strong point. Deidara shook his head, but gritted his teeth. He has no choice at all. At absolute speed. The weakness has been discovered. The current situation is very unfavorable to me. Okay. Deidara was talking to himself and analyzing, but his hands were looking for something in his pocket. C4. Advertisement. Garuda, let me show you one of my ultimate arts. Deidara opened her hands suddenly and shouted loudly. Boom. I saw a huge balloon in the form of something born out of thin air. Its appearance. Literally a gigantic, fat version of Deidara. Seeing this, Kizaru in midair almost fell over. Kizaru's complexion was extremely dark at the moment. Dry. Would you like to take the title of King of Destruction? Is the King of Destruction in Impel Down the King of Destruction, or are you the King of Destruction? This guy. It's just a human bomb. A walking nuclear bomb. Kizaru showed emotion on his face, and he was also caught in a dilemma at the moment. Under the cover of his knowledge, the energy contained in this huge balloon can be seen at a glance. But, at the moment he couldn't make a choice at all. Destruction by force will definitely cause an unprecedented explosion. But if you don't attack, that Deidara would definitely manually detonate this giant balloon. But just when he was anxious about it, outside the battlefield, a voice came, interrupting the battle between the two. Marine Admiral Kizaru. And this strange strong man. Can you give the old man a face and stop this meaningless battle? An old man wearing slippers and a kind face appeared in the sight of the two of them. Pluton Rayleigh. Kizaru recognized the other party's identity at a glance, and was surprised. First didn't expect Marine to find Pluden Rayleigh after so many years. So it's hiding under the nose of our Marine. Kizaru spoke with a serious tone. At this time, his heart had already retreated. If he knew it, he would die from a headache. Advertisement. Add to that a legendary great pirate, Pluden Rayleigh, and he can't stand it. And if this happens, Marshal Sengoku must understand himself. Kizaru thought to himself, and already had the idea of running away. Then I'll do you Pluden Rayleigh a favor and stop. Kizaru patted the cloak covered in dust from the explosion just now, and nodded in agreement. Hey, what do you mean, old man? Where did you come from again? You said you won't fight if you don't fight. Your face. Is your face very valuable? Deidara's face was slightly angry, and his devouring gaze was directed at the latter. I have no intention of disturbing the battle between you two. It's just that it's connected to the Red Line, and it's the territory of the Celestial Dragons. If destroyed, the world will be plunged into unprecedented turmoil. Rayleigh ignored Deidara's anger, laughed and explained. Turmoil. What's the matter with me? Get out of the way, old man, I don't have the habit of respecting the old and loving the young. Deidara was taken aback upon hearing this, and shook his head, not knowing why. If you still want to continue fighting, then let the old man fight with you. Rayleigh's muddy pupils suddenly became sharp as he spoke. Old man Rayleigh, that guy is a human bomber. Let's join hands and get close to him first. Seeing that Rayleigh could not dissuade Kizaru, he was also ready to fight again. Right now, Rayleigh and himself can easily take down the Akatsuki organization. This salary must not go up. But at this moment, another accident. Deidara, I said don't make me wait too long. Just dealing with a Marine Admiral. How much time is it taking? The Jade Girl of Dawn, the Scorpion of Red Sand is here. 019. Art Duo, join forces. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Scorpion, I just want to have fun with him. Otherwise, how can I show off my artistic attainments? Without looking back, Deidara knew who it was. Your thing can also be called art. Humph. Only what is eternal can be called art. The Red Sand Scorpion stepped forward and stood side by side with Deidara. The opponent's strength is not weak, and his abilities are similar to the guy from the 4th generation. As for the old man next to him, he doesn't seem to be a good person. Deidara opened his mouth to remind. It's boring, quick fix. The Red Sand Scorpion looked indifferent, and didn't take Deidara's words to heart. Then clap your hands. Come out, my favorite work. Third cage. Crunch. The sound of the collision of the organ sounded. A humanoid puppet stood in front of him impressively. You really don't want to wait a moment. The corner of Deidara's mouth curled into a slight arc, and he waved his hand. Let's work together, Scorpion. C2. Dragon. Second, but only this cooperation. Magnet style. Prestige. C2. The Dragon. Magnet style. Prestige. C4. Garuda. Shati Nai installed C4. The voice fell. Under the horrified eyes of everyone present. The clay giants made by Deidara are covered with a thick layer of sand and iron. From all white to black is just a moment. And the huge balloon Garuda even installed 2 huge sand and iron wings. It was a gigantic monster in its original size. Now wrapped in a thick layer of armor. Advertisement. The size has become even bigger, almost reaching the level of covering the sky. If Shiyu Zebo Madara is here to watch the battle, we'll definitely accuse this artistic duo of plagiarism. Isn't this a remake of Baton Nine Tails? Is this still a power that humans can achieve? Nami, who was watching the battle from a distance, covered his mouth, his eyeballs were almost protruding. Great. This is too cool. So handsome. And Luffy beside her is as natural as ever. There was no feeling of panic at all. More is excited. The Kid Kira duo, who were also watching the battle, were also shocked. But something seems to be going wrong. Kid, what's wrong with you? Kira noticed something strange, and looked at the other party worriedly. That guy named Scorpion, his ability is crazily attracting my devil fruit ability. I want to control that black thing. Kid's hands couldn't stop shaking at this moment. Said the words that made Kira on the side almost scared out of his wits. Kid, calm down. That kind of existence is really not something we can provoke. Kira knew that Kid was fearless that day, so she was even more worried now. Crazy words stopped. Be sensible, Kid, you must be sensible. Comma. And the main battlefield. The battle Yanran broke out. Pure power fight. Boom. Clang. The sound of metal collisions and body collisions became one piece. Kizaru, aren't you physically strong? Don't you want to fight me in close combat? Why isn't it majestic now? Deidara was riding a mighty Garuda, clamoring wildly. The battle scene right now. Undoubtedly not interpreting the word. Advertisement. Hang and beat. Struggle for physical fitness. Garuda Luo, who has been dressed in sand and iron, has infinite strength. And Kizaru wanted to bypass the sand iron giant sword in Garuda's hand and attack Deidara directly. but was stopped by explosions around Didera. The characteristic of Garuda's work is that the body is filled with extremely small clay spiders that are invisible to the naked eye. It is no exaggeration to call it a careful explosion clay at the molecular level. Even Garuda's random exhalation has the chance to seriously injure Kizaru. And, once the spiders are spit out, they will be scattered by the wind in the air. It's hard to guard against. How many whole cards do you have left? Kizaru parried Garuda's attack relying on his knowledge. Since he grew up, he has always relied on his fruit ability to crush others. This was his first time, a battle that made him feel tricky. The reason is because the opponent's ability is too insidious and despicable. Whole cards. Do you want to see my other works? Could it be that you have been deeply attracted by my art? Didera listened, with ecstasy on his face. Get out. I don't want to. Kizaru's head was full of black lines, but his heart was more palpitating, and his actions became more cautious. Aggrieved. How frustrating. The more Kizaru thought about it, the more angry he became, and he planned to go back and ask Sengoku to raise his salary. The other side. The battle between Rayleigh and the Red Sand Scorpion was also in full swing. And the battle scene here is even more outrageous. The maneuverability of the majestic giant bird not only did not become more bulky due to its larger size. Even, unusually flexible and fast. Magnet style. Sand and iron Shiu. Sand iron giant needle. Sand iron triangular pyramid. Sand iron spinning top. Sand iron world law. Advertisement. Sand iron wall, comma. One by one, the large-scale magnet ninjutsu crazily vented towards Rayleigh. And Rayleigh can only keep parrying and dodging at the same time. Relying on moonwalk-like skills, he frantically chased after the red sand scorpion, which was constantly fleeing while riding a giant bird. Can only say, the scarlet sand scorpion is definitely a pro-level ADC, this kite is flying well. HMPH, what a difficult old man. The red sand scorpion narrowed its eyes slightly at this moment. The murderous intent in his eyes leaked. Brat. You look down on the old man too much, don't you? Your tricks can be fully seen under the perception of the old man's observation hockey. Could it be that you, who are so powerful, don't know what observation hockey is? As Rayleigh said, a severing scorpion wanted to sneak up on him, hiding in the iron sand. Chakra line. This thing just attaches to Rayleigh's body. Even if you can control the opponent for 0.5 seconds, the battle will end in an instant. But things backfired. Observation hockey. The red sand scorpion was taken aback. He is not an intelligence officer of the Akatsuki organization. He has been hiding at the base for so long, researching and refining his puppet attainments. It seems that you really don't understand. Without hockey, but with so much power. And the way you activate your ability doesn't seem to be Devil Fruit's power system. Who are you? Rayleigh's eyes are bright. As the first officer of One Piece, he is not only powerful in battle. His wisdom is far beyond ordinary. Shao, the red sand scorpion. Scorpion thought for a moment, didn't hide anything, and responded indifferently. Now the gold list is exposed. He doesn't have to hide anything. This is also the instruction given by that adult. 020. I transformed my corpse. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Dawn. Rayleigh looked extremely heavy. I couldn't help but think of the gold list incident a few days ago. What is the purpose of your organization? Rayleigh's arms were wrapped around the weapon, and he smashed a huge piece of iron sand with a single blow. Purpose. Forgive me for not commenting. The red sand scorpion shook his head. His eyes were on the other's arm, and curiosity arose from the bottom of his heart. Obviously just a mortal body. With the blessing of something similar to that black armor, it can resist his sand and iron. You know the organization, why did it appear in the Sabayati archipelago? Rayleigh pressed on. Knowing the opponent's true identity at this moment, his desire to fight has already dropped to freezing point. Rao is a legendary big pirate like him. He also didn't dare to provoke the other party easily. Of course he is not afraid of the red sand scorpion. What he is afraid of is the power of Xiao Xiao. On the bright side, the Xiao organization exposed 3 strong players on the list. The 2 that have emerged now, although their strength is not enough to match those on the list. But the combat power is definitely not weak. Even if one is screwed out, it is a general level existence. And he doesn't know how many strong people like Didera and the Scarlet Sand Scorpion there are in the Akatsuki organization. But, judging from the current known combat power, it is already terrifying. Why is it in the Sabayati archipelago? I just got pulled out by that Didera guy. As for why, there is no clear goal. Or you could say, just out for a walk. The red sand scorpion chose to answer this time, but his eyes were fixed on Rayleigh's movements, secretly amazed. After all, in his world, the powerful ones almost all rely on the transformation, utilization and transformation of energy. And in this world, This kind of power that can forcibly resist the limit of blood successors with the body alone, how could it not make him feel novel? Rayleigh, do you want to be eternal? Advertisement. Seeing that the battle had passed for a long time, the Scarlet Sand Scorpion felt a little impatient. Asked suddenly, Eternal, what's the meaning? Rayleigh was taken aback for a moment, not knowing why. It's about dedicating yourself to art and being a part of my work. I will definitely make you an extremely powerful puppet, even stronger than this one in my hand. The Red Sand Scorpion stared at each other with unstoppable frenzy. At this moment, his eyes are like a hungry wolf looking at a rabbit. Brat, you are too arrogant. Rayleigh's eyes turned cold, and he drew out the samurai sword from his waist, his tone low. Although he was afraid of Xiao Xiao's power, the other party actually looked down on him so much, so arrogantly. He couldn't help it, the momentum of Conqueror's Haki was condensed. Then, with the cold light in his eyes flickering, the air machine locked onto the Red Sand Scorpion in an instant. The Red Sand Scorpion, who was still manipulating the puppet, was taken aback for a moment. Next moment, drink. Facing this sudden blow, the Red Sand Scorpion only felt his head swell, and his consciousness was almost blurred. Fortunately, relying on willpower, he recovered in an instant. But, how could Rayleigh let go of this great opportunity, and Yanran killed him right in front of him? Rayleigh didn't hesitate. Armed color coverage. Winding. The power like thunder is released. Between calcium carbide and fire. Rayleigh's pitch black fist slammed into the face of the Red Sand Scorpion. The latter didn't even have time to react. Next second, the Red Sand Scorpion turned into fly ash under a huge force. Yes, the high-level armed color has the characteristics of directly destroying from the inside, and its powerful power is so exaggerated that it directly blasts the Red Sand Scorpion into scum. Advertisement. Succeeded, the strength is so powerful. But you don't have any awareness and defense against Conqueror's Haki. Rayleigh stood where he was, looking at the fist, wondering. This kind of strength is obviously very strong, but the feeling of breaking at the touch of a touch really makes him feel unbelievable. But in the next second, Rayleigh's pupils shrank suddenly. The hairs on the back stand on end. Wrong. I didn't see blood at all just now. At this moment, the Scarlet Sand Scorpion suddenly appeared behind him. With a ninja knife in his hand, he was about to chop down. The purple liquid flowed from the knife body. This is a poisonous knife. But fortunately, Rayleigh's observation Haki has reached the peak of his practice and reached the point where he can predict the future. Anticipating the raid ahead of time gave Rayleigh time to react. With a reverse kick, it hit the wrist of the Scarlet Sand Scorpion. Clang. The poisonous ninja knife rotated several times in the air, and then firmly nailed into the ground. Aren't you dead? The touch of hitting can't be wrong. And, you have always been within my range of perception. Why are you able to? Resurrection. Rayleigh saved the day with a look of disbelief on his face. Asked frantically. Hee. Only my current body can be called eternal and immortal art. Immortality is my current state. The Scarlet Sand Scorpion showed a weird smile and gave an answer. This is him in this world, with the help of the king, the peak Red Sand Scorpion. Although he may not be at the peak of his combat power in the dirt form. But the characteristic of immortality, now he can be called the ultimate art. Since a puppet can't do anything to you, then old man. Let me show you my second card. Come out. Advertisement. 100 opportunity scorpions. The voice fell. Crunch, crunch. Something more terrifying than resurrection has happened. As the space scroll unfolds, another scorpion that looks exactly like the Red Sand Scorpion was summoned. From head to toe, every detail of the face. Even with the number of hairs, how many? They are almost identical. This Rao is Rayleigh, who has seen the world with Roger, the One Piece, and he is at a loss for words at the moment. I couldn't utter a word for a long time. Just because it's too scary. Resurrection is outrageous enough. Now he has even summoned a puppet that is exactly the same as his own hair, or even how many hairs are the same. How many devil fruit abilities do you have? Rayleigh asked blankly with blank eyes. Devil fruit. You mean the rewards Orochimaru and the others got? I didn't get that thing. But, I'm very curious about that thing. That fellow Orochimaru will not lend me his own research. Nagato and Obito are not to be messed with, otherwise I would like to study the whole thing at once. The Scarlet Sand Scorpion shook his head, and his interest was also aroused. They say Orochimaru is a mad scientist. He, the Red Sand Scorpion, is also very interested in human experiments. Don't hesitate to turn your body into a puppet. And that puppet is the 100-chance scorpion in his hand at the moment. How could it not be the fruit ability? It is impossible for someone to create a puppet that is exactly like myself. Rayleigh's eyes widened, not believing what the other said. What if I say, in fact, this puppet was transformed from my own corpse? The Scarlet Sand Scorpion shook his head in disdain and said without doubt. 021. Luffy, who was not shot by a bear, wants to enter the new world. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The voice fell. The red sand scorpion's hands fluttered. The two puppets of third case cage and 100 chance scorpion exploded in response. Flame, sand and iron filled the air. The scene is like the end of the world. Damn, you madman. How on earth did you do it? Rayleigh questioned loudly, chose not to hold back his hand, held the sword with one hand, and wrestled with the revived red sand scorpion again. On the other hand, the picture is much more harmonious. Do you only dodge and parry? Now you should be able to see through my moves, right? Deidara felt bored after playing here, so he spoke provocatively. After all, you are too scary, and there is nothing I can do about it. Kizaru shook his head, unmoved. However, he began to calculate in his heart that it was impossible for the Shao organization to provoke him. Although I don't know why the other party keeps pestering me. But, it is endless to be passive like this right now. Deidara, how many members are there in your Akatsuki organization? I'm curious. Kizaru asked suddenly. In his heart, he had his own calculations, if he could ask some information about the Akatsuki organization. At that time, even if I didn't catch the supernova, Sengoku should have no reason to deduct my salary. How many members does Akatsuki have? Deidara with arms folded saw that when the other party was fighting him, he was thinking about stealing information. I couldn't help being annoyed for a while. However, his face did not show any abnormality, but he had a smirk on his face. If you want to talk about all the members, there must be tens of millions in total, right? Your Excellency, stop teasing the old man. The population of the whole world doesn't add up to that much, does it? Advertisement. Kizaru shook his head with a helpless expression on his face. I can swear to God. Seeing that the other party didn't believe it, Deidara pointed to the sky to make a promise. What I think in my mind is, the pervert reproductive ability of White Zetsu. It's not an exaggeration to say that there are thousands of. What? Seeing the other party swear, now Kizaru finally chose to believe. This information. It's so exciting. How did so many members come together? Could it be that they are scattered all over the world? Deidara, then the old man will leave first. After Kizaru got the answer, he didn't want to stay any longer. He, who developed Sparkling Fruit to Ultimate, came and went freely. Once you say hello, you want to leave. What? Don't, I'll take it easy. Seeing that the other party was about to run away, Deidara's expression collapsed, and he shouted eagerly. If Kizaru is let go, how can he do business? Did not act according to the plan, exposed myself in advance and did not say. Also freed Marine Admiral, if Nagato and Obito knew about it. Not to be tortured to death. As for the king, if he knew the news, he didn't even dare to think about it. There will be a period of time later, everyone of Akatsuki. Kizaru raised his mouth and waved. Then it turned into a ray of light and fled towards the distance. Scorpion of red sand, this Marine Admiral wants to run away. Forget about that old man. Seeing this, Deidara secretly thought that something was wrong, and hurriedly shouted, sending this message to Scorpion who was still fighting. Then he put away his playful thoughts, and C4 Garuda, who was controlling his feet, also chased after him. Oh shit, if I knew it, I would have refrained from shooting Kizaru. Not only have we failed to take it now, but we have also exposed the traces of me and Xie. Deidara muttered unhappily to himself. I would have known about Shangju's information a long time ago. If I had known in advance that Kizaru Admiral and 4th generation have similar abilities. Advertisement. Even if you kill me, I won't make a move. At this moment, he already regretted it very much, but is regret useful? I reminded you, don't expose us. You don't listen to the persuasion and insist on taking action against Admiral, how do you stop now? The red sand scorpion riding the C2 dragon also caught up at this time, and it was a taunt when it came up. HMPH, you're so wordy, Scorpion. Deidara's face was gloomy, and he replied. We followed him like this. He must be going back to Marine Base Camp. At that time, let's go to the Marine Base Camp and make a big fuss soon. Can't all the strong men in Naval Headquarters be able to run like that guy? The corner of Deidara's mouth curled up a bit, and he had already thought of a countermeasure in his mind. Is it? It's not bad, I also want to make a new puppet. Just use the powerhouses of this world to make puppets. I am very interested in the abilities of the powerhouses of this world. The red sand scorpion was rare at this time, and did not quarrel with Deidara anymore, and reached an agreement with the other party. If their conversation was overheard by outsiders, they would definitely be shocked to the point of dropping their jaws. These two guys. I simply don't treat Marine as a human being. Go to Naval Headquarters if you want, and plan to go to Naval Headquarters to hunt Marine. What audacity. Certainly. The Deidara in dirt form and the red sand scorpion are not afraid of this at all. Immortality plus unlimited chakra, about equal to invincibility. Sabayati Archipelago. Rayleigh, who had lost his opponent, did not choose to chase, but shook his head and sighed on the spot, and then left the battlefield in silence. This moment, he really feels old. He is already a remnant of the old era abandoned by the new era. The various abilities of the Red Sand Scorpion made him puzzled. At this time, originally still hiding in the Sabayati archipelago, the pirates and residents who had time to escape in the future all appeared one after another. Advertisement. As expected of the battle between Marine Admiral and Akatsuki. It's not on the same level as us at all. Hawkins came to the side of Luffy and his party, looking into the distance. Wow. Ghost. Luffy, who was still in a daze, was startled by the sudden sound. Looking back, it was Hawkins' slightly terrifying face. Zoro has a ghost. Didn't this guy get kicked away by that Uncle Marine just now, so he couldn't die anymore? Luffy yelled and jumped beside Zoro. A special fruit ability. Zoro's rare brain was online at this moment, and he guessed the reason. That guy is not dead, he is alive, idiot. Zoro was speechless in reply, obviously he was not very interested at the moment. It's not just him, all the supernovas are hit hard at this moment. Originally high-spirited, they thought they had proud strength. Enough to enter the new world and break out. Did not expect. In just half a day, after the war, they were beaten beyond shame. Every time they recalled their previous arrogant thoughts, they wanted to slap themselves hard. Hey Zoro, how many strong men like this are there in this sea? I can't wait to step into the new world. Luffy clasped his hands together and his eyes were bright. Declare. Hey, stupid captain, the strong are for surpassing. This is the meaning of our adventure. The crew of the Straw Hats were also infected by Luffy's courage, and regained their momentum again. Should it be said that it is the halo of the protagonist? Only, what they don't know is, soon their plans will be put on hold. Just because Luffy's big brother Ace got caught. Although they don't know it yet. But as time progresses, the news that this war is about to start will surely spread throughout the streets and alleys. 022. Image ranking. Zaraki Kenpachi. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Big news, this is really big news. The Akatsuki organization is actually dispatched. And once it is dispatched, it will be a battle of the world. One ran away with Marine Admiral Kizaru, and the other fought hard against the legendary pirate Rayleigh. It's just not on the list, Xiao's Jade Girl and Xinglong, Deidara and Xie. Even so, there is such combat power. I can't imagine how shocking the world will be if the Akatsuki organization is dispatched as a whole. For a time, the whole sea was full of discussions. This battle took place in the Sabayati archipelago, although it didn't last long. But it is inevitable that everyone's speculation and curiosity about the combat power of the members of the Akatsuki organization will continue to ferment. You said that Deidara and Scorpion of the Akatsuki organization are stronger than Marine Admiral. Are you stupid? Didn't read the news that Kizaru Admiral was beaten away. If it wasn't for Kizaru running fast, he wouldn't be able to explain where he was. Deidara must be stronger. That's right, Deidara and Scorpion definitely have combat power at the Admiral level or even above Admiral. Under this wave of discussion, Marine also made a statement. 2 brand new rewards, freshly released. The Azure Dragon of Dawn, Deidara, offers a reward of 5 billion. The Jade Girl of Dawn, the Red Sand Scorpion, offers a reward of 4.5 billion. Wow. The pirates on the sea, the bounty hunters are all dumbfounded. The amount of this reward is enough to show that Marine attaches great importance to him, and it is also a recognition of the opponent's strength. How many zeros are there? My god. My eyes are dazzled. The first bounty is so terrifying. I counted for a long time before I can figure it out. Deidara 5 billion, Red Sand Scorpion 4.5 billion bounty. The first reward has reached the reward amount of the Revolutionary Army Dragon. How much does Marine fear the members of the Akatsuki organization? People who received Marine's latest reward list announcement couldn't believe it. Advertisement. Ever. The first debut is the pinnacle, and the pirate who offered a reward of 5 billion for the first time was born. Ah, no, it's the strong man who offered a reward of 5 billion, the Akatsuki organization is not a pirate. This is simply unprecedented and unprecedented. This new first-time bounty record, it feels very difficult to be broken by future generations. We have witnessed the birth of a legend. The news this time is very hot. From old men in their 70s and 80s to children aged 7 and 8. Whether it is the sea or the land, the streets and alleys are all talk. After 3 full days, the tide gradually subsided. Of course, it's not that the things they're talking about are no longer hot. But, today is the time for the new list to be released. Top 20 top 10 will attract their attention. This is a ranking above top 10. They can be said to be waiting day and night. My heart is like being covered with ants, I can't stop being curious. Finally, under the gaze of all eyes and all expectations, the long-awaited began to come out. After a lapse of several days, the gold list finally made a move again. However, this time I didn't get straight to the point, and introduced the list directly. Instead, another announcement has been made. One of exciting announcement. The ranking of top 10 top 0 in the combat power list. Because of the strong combat power, it is difficult to describe it intuitively in words. Close black lens bracket. So the video function will be adopted soon, and the introduction will be made directly through the screen. Close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Wow. Almost at the same time as this announcement was shown. The entire One Piece world, Marine, 4 Emperors, Shichibukai, etc., everyone is not calm anymore. Video function. Next, the power of TOP10 TOP0 will be displayed more intuitively. They can also witness and appreciate the demeanor of the strong more intuitively. It can also judge the strength of the list more intuitively. As this the gold list, not only can it rank all things in the world, it can also have audio and video functions. This is simply a miracle. Oh my god, I can't wait to watch it. Who would have thought that the gold list would have such a big hand? The gold list is really a good news for us ordinary people. It also takes care of us ordinary people too much. In the past, we didn't have time to hide when we saw the strong, we were afraid that our lives would be lost. Now through the video, we can watch it safely and blatantly. In the anticipation of much attention, the gold list opened a huge curtain from the sky. Its curtains cover the sky and the sun. The entire pirate world can clearly see the content on it. Open black lens bracket top 9. Zaraki Kenpachi close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket Soul Society Gote 13, captain of the 11th team. Close black lens bracket. Zilla. Accompanied by a strange noise, the screen appeared. The first thing that catches the eye is a ruin. In the screen, the surrounding eyes can see all the ruins at the beginning. Obviously, these dilapidated and abandoned buildings must have been left over from a great war. However, the next moment, turn the camera. A giant human with an exaggerated body shape and a head that can even block the sun appears. Advertisement. The momentary sense of oppression came from the screen, shaking the pirates and all the strong ones. The size of this titan is bigger than that of the titan family. Moreover, the aura naturally exuded from his body, even through the screen, is extremely soul-stirring. Toshiro, let me join the battle. In the picture, Byakuya has long lost his previous calmness at this moment, and his face is full of fear. Well, with Gerard's height, even if we add up, it's justifiable for 2-on-1. Toshiro also looked heavy at this moment, agreeing to Byakuya's participation in the battle. And he found a plausible reason for playing more and playing less. At this point in the picture, all the powerhouses in One Piece world were stunned. Through the dialogue, they learned a lot of useful information. Got it, the names of the 3 people on the field, and their rivalry. But, the point is, isn't this issue about Zaraki Kenpachi? Looking at it like this is obviously a battle between Gerald Titan vs Toshiro and Byakuya. Although I have doubts in my heart. But they still quietly continued to look at the screen on the gold list, waiting for the promotion of the follow-up plot. Bankai, Daiguren Hiremaru, up, Byakuya Kuchiki. Toshiro, who is short in stature, does not have any trace of a child's temperament, but appears very calm and calm. As his words fell, Toshiro's appearance changed drastically. An ice dragon is attached to the back. 12 red lotuses are floating. There was a trace of cold air on his body, and a few meters below his feet were directly covered with a layer of frost. This moment, everyone was amazed to see the pirate world on the screen. Frozen fruit ability user. Isn't that Marine Admiral Aokiji's ability? The power of a fruit cannot be possessed at the same time. There is no doubt about it. 023. Red hair. Incomprehensible power. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Since it can be on the list, it means that the other party is still alive. But has the ability to control freezing. Although everyone was puzzled, the pictures on the screen continued. Bankai. Killer. Senbon Sakura Kajiyoshi. Byakuya stepped forward with a calm tone. As his words fell, countless sakura flowers fluttered, and sword blades made of sakura flowers appeared impressively. Everyone in the world of One Piece who was watching, their common sense collapsed again. They can't see through Byakuya's ability at all. Control the sakura flower. Are there any fruits similar to those recorded in the Devil Fruit illustrated book? At this moment, their hearts were full of doubts, but their eyes were firmly attracted by Byakuya's Bankai. Just because of this ability, so beautiful. Unfolding the 2 of Bankai, without any hesitation. Each of them used their magical powers to attack the Titan Gerard crazily. In an instant, the sky is full of snow, and sakura flowers are floating. One moment it was a cloudless battlefield, and the next moment it was directly covered with dark clouds. It seems to have transitioned from summer to winter all at once. This is Zanpakuto Hiremaru, the strongest ice type in Shinigami, powerful enough to control the climate. Change the environment for your own use. A shot from the ice dragon hit Gerard hard. In an instant, frost covered the opponent's body. Got it, Byakuya, I've got him under control. A faint smile played on Toshiro's lips. Final scene, White Emperor Sword. Byakuya's eyes were bright, and naturally he would not let go of such a great opportunity. The hands emit a lot of white light, and the wings made of sakura flowers are attached to the back. Without any hesitation, he slashed fiercely and rushed towards Gerard. Poochie. Advertisement. Blood splattered everywhere. Titan's arm suddenly burst a huge gap. The arm loses strength instantly. One arm of this huge monster was crippled with just one blow. Everyone in Pirate World watching the battle was shocked. And yet, the next moment, Gerard, who was constantly being scraped by the blade of a sword, was under the control of freezing. But his face was calm, without any change. Do you only have such weak strength? Thousands of years have passed, and the strength of your soul society has really disappointed me. Gerald finally spoke now. The body has been devastated and overwhelmed, but the tone is extremely arrogant. With this little power, I don't even have the desire to make a move. Gerard in the picture shook his head with a look of disdain. HMPH, it's just the end of the battle, and you're still so arrogant. Toshiro's face was warm and angry, increasing the power in his hands. HMPH, it seems that you don't understand the horror of me, Gerard. Gerald grinned grimly. I was bestowed with the holy text of M by Master Yuhabak. Symbol power is a miracle. I can turn a situation that is absolutely unfavorable to me into a state that is beneficial to me. This is my ability, miracle. There was a trace of arrogance at the corner of Gerald's mouth, and the holy light flickered on his body as he spoke. All the damage and injuries on his body were repaired in an instant, and his huge body size expanded again. What? How is it possible? The injury has healed. Toshiro's eyes showed shock, and he was also thinking about what the other party said. Just like now. It's not good for me to get hurt. Advertisement. I transformed him into a situation that is beneficial to me. What I suffer now is not hurt, but to increase my own energy. Gerald didn't care about the exposure of his ability, and said. In the face of absolute strength, any tricks are useless against him. What? How could such a thing happen? Toshiro's pupils shrunk, and the fear in his heart rose steadily. At the same time, everyone in the entire pirate world also couldn't believe their ears. Any ability that is unfavorable to the opponent is invalid for him. What kind of ability is this? Can you still play like this? The red-haired guy who just finished filming in the Fishman Island has a horrified face. Is this the level that people can practice? What kind of cultivation method is this, so that it can be cultivated to nullify any unfavorable factors? This is not the power that humans should have at all. This is the real God. And, this is just a given ability, so what kind of existence is Yuhabak who gave Gerald the ability? The red-haired Yan Ran was in a panic at the moment, speaking at a loss. This level of ability is simply the common sense of a powerhouse like him. His common sense is still that his strength depends on his own strong physique and powerful destructive swordsmanship or moves and abilities. But the levels in the gold list exposure, why do some of these not exist? I directly nullify any unfavorable factors. I will be invincible. This Gerard. It makes me feel that the word, God, is not incompatible with him. Beckman also looked shocked at this time, and said with emotion. Even with his wisdom, Rao couldn't comprehend what kind of ability he possessed. But, Captain, have you heard of the Soul Society? Soul Society. Advertisement. It's a strange name. The redhead also heard what Gerard said, and recalled it. After a moment, he shook his head. Gerald, Soul Society, Byakuya, Toshiro, Yuhabak. I have never heard of these, the red-haired man said with great certainty with a serious face. Another strong man, and there are words in their conversations about millennia ago. It is likely that Gerard is the enemy of the Soul Society. And their war broke out this time 1,000 years ago, this is the second war after 1,000 years. Beckman reported his analysis to the redhead. Thousands of years ago. When the red hair heard this, he was also filled with emotion. In other words, they are all old monsters who lived thousands of years ago. Why are all the old monsters on the gold list who can live for so long? The redhead said with some envy. However, the history of this world has disappeared in the long river of history thousands of years ago. There is no way to trace back. The redhead shook his head regretfully. How many years ago did this war happen? Recently, it could only be the 100 years that disappeared, 900 years ago. Plus Gerald's words. Those who are fighting on the screen have lived at least 1900 years. Beckman deduced a conclusion that made him feel unbelievable. And, it's just possible. What if the battle on the screen is not the history that has disappeared for 100 years? So how many years old monster will it be? 024. This power is Bankai. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Over time. Gerard is getting bigger and bigger, and neither Byakuya Kuchiki nor Toshiro can do anything about it. At this time, a voice sounded. It's really like the guy in the corner said, he is a formidable opponent. Zaraki Kenpachi appeared on the battlefield carrying his toothless Zanhundao. Zaraki Kenpachi. You guys heal so quickly. Toshiro turned his head suddenly, his face full of disbelief. I didn't expect this guy to support me. As a companion, he really doesn't know whether it's us or the opponent who should be thankful. Byakuya Kuchiki had no expression on his face, but his heart was full of headaches. Toshiro, Byakuya, stand down. This prey, leave it to me to fight. Zaraki Kenpachi just arrived, and he didn't have too many greetings with his teammates. Straight to the point, it's a one-on-one fight against the titan that even Toshiro and Byakuya find it difficult to team up with. Toshiro and Byakuya couldn't help being taken aback when they heard this, but after thinking about it, they felt it was understandable. This is Zaraki Kenpachi, the most arrogant man in Soul Society. The people watching Pirate World were also overwhelmed by Kenpachi. To know how powerful Gerard is, they have already known a lot through the screen. This Zaraki Kenpachi wants to single out. However, don't wait for them to marvel. The situation in the field changes. Zaraki Kenpachi, being impatient, didn't wait for Toshiro and Byakuya to reply. Now that he was holding a knife, he rushed towards Gerard. Where did you come from again? Seeing that the other party was so arrogant, Gerald also wanted to teach him a lesson. The holy light flickered, and a huge sword was held in his hand. Smash it down hard. Advertisement. Unfortunately, what he met was Kenpachi, who had experienced special training with the previous generation of Kenpachi, and his combat experience at this moment was extraordinary. With a leap, Kenpachi stepped directly onto the giant sword. Then he used the giant sword as land and ran wildly on it. The next moment, Zaraki Kenpachi Yanran came close to him. Pucci. Gerard, who was as firm as steel, cut his forehead with a big knife in an instant. Blood donation madness overflows. That's it, that's the feeling. Come and fight with me. Kenpachi succeeded in one blow, shouting arrogantly. Drink. Gerald felt the pain, and his pupils shrank suddenly. So fast. Fighting. Haha. Are you worthy to be my opponent? Gerald was also aroused to fight, and he slammed his right hand with the shield at the opponent. What a mighty Reiatsu. Kenpachi sealed Reiatsu's blindfold at this moment, and it did not know when it would come off. Even he has to pay attention to the titan in front of him at this time. Boom. There was a deafening crash. Kenpachi's small body resisted the huge shield abruptly. And the power of Gerald. At this moment, the two looked at each other. Both of them saw in each other's eyes that primitive impulse. Often the most gorgeous move is the impact of fist-to-fist, flesh-to-flesh collision. This is a man's romance, isn't it? Boom. Clang. Just in the blink of an eye. The two fought again for several rounds. Cool. So cool. Advertisement. I will cut you in half. Kenpachi was so excited that he couldn't help but stop laughing crazily. Hee hee. Gerald looked at the tiny gap in the huge sword in his hand. Is also getting excited. Kenpachi. Don't attack that guy's blade. That guy's sword is the sword of hope, if you get hurt. Toshiro shouted eagerly at this moment. The next moment, before he had finished speaking, Kenpachi grasped the meaning. Just because blood suddenly bleeds from his body. If you destroy your sword, I will be hurt, right? Kenpachi licked his own blood and asked Gerald back. You guys are different from those two just now. You're funny. That's right. If my sword is destroyed, so will your fate. So, what are you going to do? Talk off. Gerard's giant sword suddenly slashed towards the opponent's face. Clang. The battle is lit again. Byakuya Kuchiki, are we really not going to help Kenpachi? No, be careful not to be cut by him, Toshiro. But that monster, can Kenpachi really handle it? I have a plan, give me a little time, I can completely freeze the other party. It's time for you to give him the final blow, how about Byakuya? Toshiro wanted to interrupt Kenpachi's one-on-one duel with Soul Society's survival in mind. Okay. Byakuya thought for a while, and nodded in agreement. And when they were discussing tactics, Kenpachi Yanran was suppressed by Gerard. After all, in the face of such a powerful opponent, it is completely impossible to kill the opponent without touching the opponent's blade at all. And Kenpachi only needs to touch the opponent's blade every time in the confrontation. Your own injuries will become more and more serious. Advertisement. And Gerard, with the blessing of the holy characters, is getting stronger as he fights. After a long time, Kenpachi finally lost. He was slammed into the ground by Gerard. Toshiro, are you ready? Seeing that the situation was wrong, Byakuya shouted eagerly. No, it's still close. Toshiro is also very anxious at the moment, but the moves he prepared are still almost there. Senbon Sakura. Seeing this, Byakuya hurriedly controlled Sakura Hana to stop Gerald, who wanted to give Kenpachi the final blow. Then Gerald's strength at this time has been incomparably stronger than the characteristics. Byakuya's obstruction is useless. But just when there is nothing to do here. The picture of Jinbang was pulled to the body of Kenpachi, who fell to the ground and passed out. Small sword. Kenpachi, who was unconscious, suddenly heard a long-lost but familiar voice. This is the voice of his missing deputy captain, Yachinliu. What's the matter? Yachinliu. Kenpachi was confused and weak. What are you doing? Little sword. Okay. Get up quickly, get up and continue fighting. Yakiru's cute and familiar words sounded. But, this time Kenpachi didn't get up excited because of Yakiru's encouragement. At this moment, he was completely unrecognizable, dripping with blood. The muscles and veins of the whole body are broken. Yachinliu, where have you been? Kenpachi, who hadn't realized at the moment that Yakiru was actually his own Zanpakuto, asked weakly again. Yakiru didn't answer, but just gave birth to a small palm, and stepped forward to hold Kenpachi's hand, trying to pull him up. Just when hands touch, an extremely powerful golden reiatsu instantly spread to Kenpachi's whole body. What is this power? Shaojian, the name of this power. It's Bankai. 025. Crushing combat power, Shinigami. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The moment Yachinliu said these words. Huge, endless golden reiatsu is like a giant pillar soaring to the sky. Straight into the sky. In an instant, the eyes of the entire battlefield were attracted by this huge reiatsu. Even Gerald could not help but tremble all over his body at this moment. That guy, how much power is contained in the body? Gerald was surprised and surprised. Boom. Rumble. Thousands of miles around, the earth is shaking at this moment. The buildings around this reiatsu, the soil clods are all cracked, and they are destroyed by this reiatsu. How is it possible? Kenpachi his reiatsu. Toshiro and Byakuya looked shocked. Even as companions, they were all greatly shocked. The powerful reiatsu makes them feel hairy all over their bodies, and at the same time makes them unable to breathe. Eyesight is also becoming difficult under this reiatsu, so I can only squint forcibly to observe the battle situation. Finally, because the smoke and dust rolled up by reiatsu dissipate. The Kenpachi who unlocked the Bankai is back. Everyone in Pirate World, seeing this moment, all stood up. As this hockey of this level, this momentum is so fast, it destroyed that side of the world. Without exception, even impelled down Magellan, who was squatting on the toilet. At this time, he was also shocked by the picture, and stood up in a daze. This overwhelming feeling of oppression, Bankai. What kind of power is that? Fanaticism, worship, shock. Under the watchful eyes of the pirates, Kenpachi and Bankai form appeared on the screen. I saw. Advertisement. At this time, Kenpachi seemed to be soaked in blood all over his body. The whole body showed a strange dark red, and the blood was constantly flowing out, dripping onto the ground. What's even weirder, at this moment, Kenpachi's limbs are lying on the ground with his head bowed. Coupled with this weird skin color, it doesn't look like a human at all. It's more like a beast that's bleeding from its wounds. Just about to fight to the death, a beast that exploded with blood all over its body. Hee. Such a powerful reiatsu, such a big movement. I thought it was Bankai, but I didn't expect it to change much. Seeing the other party bowing his head and panting continuously, Gerald said disdainfully. He originally thought that the other party would be able to advance to a higher level, but he didn't expect it to be just the end of the battle. Now you are really boring. Kenpachi, defeat me and disappear. Gerald had already lost his temper, and he clenched his fist and slammed at the opponent fiercely. Facing this roaring blow, Kenpachi suddenly raised his head and stared straight at him with his devilish face. At this moment, Kenpachi's face has undergone earth-shaking changes, with horns growing on his red forehead. The face is also covered with weird coat of arms. Drink. Hey. With a howl, Kenpachi, who had been lying on the ground, suddenly swung the broken sword in his hand. The next moment, Gerald's arm, like a pillar of the sky, exploded out of blood uncontrollably. With just one blow, Gerard's entire arm was severed. However, before Gerard cried out in pain, Kenpachi's beast-like body appeared in the air. On Gerald's head. Without thinking, Gerald raised his shield to defend. But Kenpachi in Bankai's state, without him, can't stop. The shield of justice in Gerald's hand, under this man's slash, broke like tofu with a smooth gap. Advertisement. However, this slash, as if entering no one's land, jumped over the shield easily, and continued to slash towards Gerard's head. Poochie. Blood splattered again. Impossible. A mere Shinigami, you can push me to such a degree. Gerald roared. No one answered his doubts. There was only one, a bloody sword aura that covered the sky, and the sun responded to him. In his unbelievable gaze, he was split in two. And fell down. So far, the picture of the gold list is over. Everyone in Pirate World, watching the blacked out picture, remained silent for a long time. Complicated mind. That sword energy, is it really sword energy? Hawkeye, the world's #1 swordsman, opened his mouth in surprise. At this moment, he even doubted the authenticity of the picture. He does have that miniature knife as a weapon in the habit of fighting weaker opponents. But at this moment, he felt his sword energy in Kenpachi's eyes. Undoubtedly it is my own miniature knife. Weak and ridiculous. Shinigami. In this world, can there still be gods? Ridiculous. Extremely ridiculous. This must be a conspiracy from Jinbang. How could someone's swordsmanship surpass me? Among the flowers, I am crazily vented her dissatisfaction. Naval Headquarters. Sengoku. Shinigami, do you see that? Advertisement. Garp wasn't sleeping on the couch either. Instead, he was full of energy and complained in Sengoku's ear. I saw it. Sengoku responded with an angry roar, but was also shocked in his heart. I can't extricate myself from it for a long time. You said, is Shinigami the kind of existence in legends that is dedicated to harvesting the souls of the dead? Garp seemed to have found the gate of the new world at this moment. Probably. If Shinigami is really what you think it is, then Soul Society might be hell as we understand it. Is there a place we will go after we die? It would be great if there was such a place. Sengoku shook his head, amused by Garp's novel idea. If it wasn't for Shinigami, why did these people live so long? The above didn't mention the war before the millennium. These people must be the Shinigami who lived for 10,000 years. This is very reasonable for God. Seeing his old friend's rebuttal, Garp couldn't help feeling a little anxious. If you're right, it's a good thing. The world of the dead is definitely irrelevant to us, and the pressure on our marines will be much less. Sengoku nodded and spoke. But right now, you can rest assured about Shinigami like Zaraki Kenpachi. But, there are thousands of Akatsuki, so there must be no slack in the heart. Sengoku's face became serious when he said this. The information Kizaru brought back earlier. It was too shocking. A force with tens of thousands of members, so many people live in this world, how is it managed? If it wasn't for the exposure of the gold list, they could even hide it for longer. Rao, with the status of Marshal Sengoku, he can't figure out how to do it. For the upcoming battle in his heart, since he was sure of winning because of the increase in Marines' combat power, he is also full of worries at this moment.